Hello and welcome to episode 465 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, a place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. My name is Vince Hunt and joining me as always is the creator of the comic series Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
The man who's got so many books that will he be able to remember what he's here to talk about this week?
Oh, I know. Would have written down. I showed you, didn't I?
Yeah. But you also keep an enormous sort of like a diary of making comics, don't you, Mr. Tony Esmond?
Yes. Hi.
But are you still?
I've decided because of the upcoming elections that I'm now going to be a massive racist as well.
Oh yes.
Thing.
Yeah. You did say something.
Everyone know.
Yes. You're a racist now, aren't you, Tony?
Just for sort of popularity reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're also joined this week by the D'Artagnan to our troop of musketeers, the one and only Mr. Tom Curry.
Ahoy.
Good.
Ahoy hoy.
Ahoy. Yeah.
That's a very old school greeting.
Just thought I'd try something out, you know.
Isn't that
right.
like what they wanted, like the greeting to be right on the first telephones, wasn't it?
I think so.
Was it ahoy?
Really?
Ahoy hoy.
Ahoy hoy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wonder why that was.
Instead of what's that?
I did just go wrong number.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've reached the phone of Tony Esmond. I'm not in right now.
He should have been the
Yeah, I was hearing that yesterday, actually.
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't even see that. Me and him were fucking around.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, no, I literally went, oh, no, Tom's just rung me. And then you walked in the door going, hello, we've been to the wrong cafe.
Yes, this is a show. This is a show that's going to. It's a show of two halves, like football. As if I know anything about the kickball game.
We were chatting big talk about football. Good old Man United.
But yes, we're gonna have a little bit of a catch up because this past weekend we went to Lawless Comic Con, a show that Dan's been talking about for many a month, and he finally got to see it himself.
Is it the first time you've been there, Dan?
Yes, I've not been to Lawless before.
Yeah. So there may be a little bit of audio as well when we get to that, as well as we're going to have a catch up about our reading challenge that we set all the way back. Was it start of the year? When did we start? Was it pre?
I didn't write the date down.
I
didn't write the date down, but
in the distant past,
we had so much fun with our last sort of reading challenge about like picking out books or genres or something that we hadn't yet read that we thought we'd try it again. So stay tuned to find out what on earth we read, we discovered, and enjoyed. And you know what else you can enjoy, chaps?
Global Comics.
You can indeed. Global Comics. Tony was mouthing something.
So I think I was on mute then. Sorry, I said something else. But
yeah, you said something deeply sexually offensive, but thankfully he was muted. But instead, something that isn't offensive and is in fact quite enjoyable is Global Comics, our lovely sponsors, who actually listen to these ads. So apologies for everything that we talk about, guys.
We've only just realised they listen.
Yeah, but we love them because Global Comics is the place to go if you read your comics digitally. It's awesome, and we're using it all the time. On Global Comics, there's a huge library of titles available to read from thousands of indie creators, hundreds of publishers like Image, Boom, Tokyo Pop, TKO Studios, Dynamite, SourcePoint Press, Humanoids. The list goes on and on and on. And I'm seeing new sort of publishers and new books go on there all the time. And the catalogue's just always growing. But what titles do you want to mention this week, chaps? Or things that are happening?
Have I got a doozy for you?
Ooh.
So I read today Tales for a Halloween Night from Storm King Comics, who have quite a few books on there as well. And it includes, here's some of the creatives on there. You've got Steve Niles. Steve Niles. You've got John Carpenter himself writes a story in it.
Yep.
You've got also you've got Dwayne Swedzinski, quite a well-known writer. Sandy King, who is the co-publisher, who's John's wife. Janice Chang, if anyone knows Janice Chang, she's been like a letterer for donkey's years. She's brilliant. She's a legend in the industry. And it's, like anthologies, we've talked about it a lot about them being a pet patchy. This is like saucily pro, really good. The first one, the art in it is impeccable, and it's bang, 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 great stories, all original, really
and
good.
Is there a different creative team for each story, or is it the
different
same?
creative? Yeah, different, almost completely. I'm just looking down them now, almost completely. Leonardo Manco's on the art with Sandy King on Fortune Broken. Leonardo's a great artist. It's a different team for each. There's 7 stories in there, so that's good.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, all free to read. Not free to read, but all to read on Global Comics.
Nice. Dan, what have you found?
I'm going to give it a shout out to a publisher. Maybe I'll try and do this each week. Give like a new publisher
That's a
on
good
the
idea. I like that. Yeah.
thing. I've got Critical Entertainment. Critical Entertainment is an indie comic-based company in Greater Los Angeles. Our team of writers and artists work hard to bring you stories that help escape the daily grind and make you think about the bigger picture. We have an online store if you like print copies, and we're also at SDCC, LACC, WonderCon, and they've got 8 titles on there, which include Life is an Open Door, Lifeboat, Planetary Expansion, The First Americans, Space Dragon, Minion DU, The Cowboy with Many Hats, and Zombie Zero. I'm going to check out a couple of those because they look great. The cover to The First Americans is kind of like, looks like an Eskimo lady holding up the skull of a polar bear or something. That was great. So yeah, added to the reading list. Nice work.
Yes, and speaking of reading lists, with the Global Comics app, you can read all of those books and follow creators and add your own lists, reading status filters, release notifications for books you're looking forward to checking out in the future, updates on the books that you're actually reading if they add new titles, etc. And if you're a creator yourself, you can publish your digital comics for free, and plus they offer loads of great tools for indie creators to help with publishing, marketing, and more. So whether you're an avid comics reader, creator, or maybe you're someone new to the hobby and just want to check out some great stories, Global Comics is the place for you. So go to Global Comics, that's comicswithanx.com, and you can download the app now on the Apple App Store or Google Play and start reading and publishing digital comics like never before. So thank you to them, as always, for sponsoring the show. Because we are
when she was holding the head of the skeleton, the head of the polar bear, was it similar to the way that I was holding the head of a lookalike that Vince got me yesterday? Like a scene, like a Shakespearean scene.
Yeah.
It was like a recreation of Hamlet.
It was. Yeah.
Haunting.
It was haunting.
Sometimes it really takes others to see yourself.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Because what happened was the ACP united like Voltron in Bristol this weekend to head over to the Lawless Comic Convention. Tony was in town. We managed to.
I was working, so I managed to nip out for a bit of lunch with you guys. But I didn't get to the con sadly, which sounds great. Yeah.
So we had a catch up and talked comics, and then Tom, Dan, and myself headed over to the Doubletree Hilton Hotel. I'm just doing this all off my memory. In Bristol, which of course is a classic venue for Comic Cons in Bristol. And we headed in and we bumped into the guys there. Got our little passes. If you follow some of us on social media, we posted some pictures and stuff of the day. But we'll talk about a little bit more about our experience first. But we did, when we were there, we bumped into a couple of old friends of the show. Say old friends, familiar friends. They're just very good friends. They're almost part of the ACP family themselves.
Yeah.
So we managed to. I mean, it was bustling and busy, and so we only managed to get a little bit of audio, and some of that is just us waffling and just being chuffed about what we're doing on the day. So I'll tell you what, check this out. Okay, it is. What is the date today?
The 25th, isn't it?
The 25th of May, 2024. It is Lawless 2024, which is a show that we've never heard of before, had we, Tom?
If only there'd been some advertising.
I know there should have been some advertising for it. Yes, it's me, Dan, and Tom are here on the shop floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of the signing room.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're currently in the room where all the artists are. There's 3 very separate sort of sections. You've got a trader room,
art room,
the exhibition room, the gallery is. I mean, this is just a little bit of audio we're going to put in the show. We'll be talking more about this just after this bit, I think.
Yeah, got a lot to say about it.
But the layout of Lawless is, I tell you what, it's really leveled up in terms of like the clarity.
It feels like a well-oiled machine.
It's a well-oiled
machine. Which is not a surprise, seeing it's the 10th year of them doing it.
Yeah. There's been some great guests here. I managed to pick up a copy of Petrol Head, the book, and we had a lovely chat with
guests for the show.
Potentially. We're trying to bag some future guests. And there's just a really nice atmosphere here. We're recording a little later in the day. We did the walk round, didn't we?
Yeah.
We did that, and we've had some lunch. This is the second time around.
Yeah.
In a minute, you'll hear a bit of a chat that we had with one of our good pals. That you'll we won't spoil it.
No,
we won't spoil it. But
place your bets. Who you think it might be?
Who you think it might be? But yeah,
hot dog run.
he went on a hot dog run. Yeah.
yeah.
What is a hot dog run? Well, if you know 2000 AD, of course you know it. So we didn't, so he had to explain it to us. But I will say this show. I mean, we've been talking about it, we've been discussing it, and it's almost like I don't consider it to be a Comic Con,
Yeah,
a
okay.
comic convention.
Well, more it's a very kind of community thing.
Yeah,
It's a community built up about 2000 AD.
It's a really specific, focused sort of show, isn't it? And we just had a chat with our pal Connor Boyle, who's currently he hasn't stopped drawing all day, and I think it sort of took him by surprise.
It's a double-edged blade once you start opening up on the commission list, and then when you actually have to start
And
putting pencil to paper.
And the punters that come to this sort of show are there to meet artists and ask for commissions.
They come with a plan. They know exactly who they want to see.
It's a different kettle of fish than a convention, isn't it? Where you could be sat there waiting to sketch, but you don't get any chance.
We've just seen a guy walk past. He's got a whole stack of whole stack of props. He's off to get the signs.
Yeah. We've seen queues for obviously there's like Garth Ennis, Brian Bolland. There's a few of the bigger name guests at the end, like doing signings, and there's queues. The people that are here all day, they're queuing up constantly to get stuff signed. It's a really positive sort of feeling you get for. It's quite nice to see the community around, like 2000 AD and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Uber fans, they kind of really give a shit about it.
Yeah.
Everyone here really cares about 2000 AD and what it stands for, and like even just the cosplay, which is maybe the bane of some other comic shows. Here, people really love it, and they're all. No one's here to got cardboard on. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone's here doing it properly. Yeah. We've got a furry thing down the end, so I'm sure someone can tell me what it was. What it is, sorry.
Yeah. There's in the traders booth. There's a what do they call?
The fantastic. Cool.
Yeah.
Brock, there you go.
What do they call Judge Dredge bike?
Lawmaster.
There's one of them made out of Lego.
Yeah.
Lego.
Yeah.
Which is actually quite cool.
Ain't cheap, frankly.
No, more than an actual Lawmaster, because fucking Lego is costly.
Yeah. So it's been a really lovely day. We're gonna wander around, see if we can get some more audio. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
If
Let's
we can,
see what we can do.
if we can, but if not, we're certainly banking. Yeah. Try not to spend too much money. I may have just bought myself a book that isn't out in the shop yet.
Pre-released.
So I'll probably talk a bit about that in a second. What was that?
That's the Gronk.
It's the Gronk. Yeah, the Gronk literally just walked past us. Yeah. And I am sexually aroused.
I think that's mid and Nolty face, the Scottish frontier dog. Like that's the kind of things on his head. He's got a Scottish hat on with those little dots at the top.
Right.
I don't think I got his name right, but he's definitely that character.
I mean, I'm going to say it, Dan, and I know we're in this space. That's a real nerdy thing to say.
Pretty nerdy.
Come on, let's get back to some comics.
Yeah, whatever you nerd. Let's get back to buying some comics.
Oh no.
Okay. Right. Yeah, we've bumped into our old pal Eamon from the Mega City.
Emphasis on the old, yeah.
You look lovely.
Thank you very much.
Maybe one of the youngest people here, Eamon. But yeah, Eamon from the Mega City Book Club is here. Just told us he went for a run before coming to Lawless.
Yeah.
And you've got a medal that says the Hot Dog Run Survivor.
Yes. So if you know Sktchd, you know that cadets do the hot dog run as part of their graduation process.
Of course. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There's a famous Sktchd story, Ron Smith art, called the hot dog run. So this morning, 7 of us ran Bristol Harbourside for 3.5 miles in the sunshine. Beautiful day for it.
Being chased by the law.
And at the end, we'd even got medals. So I have got the official Lawless Hot Dog Run.
We'll get a picture of it.
Medal.
We'll get a picture of it, and so we.
So
can
last year there was
post it.
3 of us. This year there's 7. Next year there'll be 15.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and we tried to get Tony into it, but of course, reasons. Yeah, Porthos.
Yeah. Oh, Porthos.
Yeah.
I love that name.
There's a joke that we're not allowed. There's a joke that we can't explain.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, you must be in your element at this show.
Well, it's great because Lawless, as we know, is very good for classic British comics, classic British creators.
Yeah.
And there's a room full of them in there. Bolland, McMahon, Wagner, and all of the greats are here. So it's fantastic. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Mike Dorey, got a sketch from Mike Dorey from my friend Conrad. Lovely.
Which looks amazing. Bill
Savage,
Yeah.
swinging in on a giant ball. Yeah.
which makes sense if you see it. People.
Yeah. Pumping away.
Pumping away on a giant ball. Yes, absolutely. There's one for Porthos.
But when you're here, I mean, obviously we're here. We've got our snazzy little press passes or whatever. But what do you look for? Do you shop? Do you do a bit of shopping when you're here as well? Do you inevitably come away with something?
I inevitably come away with stuff that I probably shouldn't have bought.
Yeah.
I'm trying very hard not to buy original art this year. But
it's dangerous. There's a lot of amazing stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. So I usually end up buying at least one page before the weekend is out. But yeah, just meeting the creators, getting stuff signed, getting some sketches, meeting all the fans, it's just lovely. Lawless is the best convention. I don't know if Dan mentions it on the podcast at all.
I think you need to mention it more, Dan.
I think you're going to start working it in.
We should get Dan to bring it up occasionally on the podcast. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. What a great event. Yeah, well done to Sue and her team, because it's just so wonderful.
Yeah, there's a really good atmosphere. Yeah, lots of cool stuff to see. But I look forward to seeing you at the end of the day and seeing all that original art you bought.
I'll show you the page later on.
I
decide what it is. Okay. Anyway, well done to the what's it called? The Slightly Awesome Comics Podcast.
We're kind of okay.
The Four Musketeers. The Four Musketeers podcast. Okay. Yeah. No.
We're okay.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. The podcast who gets all the big names now. Garth Ennis. Who have you got? Who did you have the other week?
More big names coming up.
Yeah.
Jeff Smith.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Basically,
the big names.
I owe a lot of people money.
Yeah.
And we'll probably speak to you again.
We'll see you later on.
We'll drag you back for something. Thank you. Okay, we've bagged another one of our old buddies. Yes. Old Richard Sheaf here. Hello.
Hello, gents. Nice to see you. To see you, nice.
Good gang.
I mean, this show must be... It's your bread and butter.
Oh, it's my happy place, man. It's an amazing display of vintage British comic art that David Roach has brought along.
God.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Oh my god! Yeah, I could spend all weekend in there. I've had to drag myself out of there to come in here. Oh, and see this amazing lineup of guests and creators who have done a lot of little dreadhead sketches for me in the autograph section of the programme, which I'm loving. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. You come every year to this?
Yeah. I've been maybe if I can, maybe the third or fourth time I've been. I can't remember. COVID times, but now last year I came. I stayed over, but I stayed in the YHA, which for a lot of reasons turned out to be a terrible decision. And this year I'm upgraded to last night a hotel around the corner, and tonight I'm actually staying in the Doubletree Hilton.
Oh wow! So we might see you on the news.
But I'm not. I can't actually be here tomorrow. I've got to go and watch some cricket. So Taunton beckons.
What a rock and roll life! Absolutely, just rock star. There's you and there's Tommy Lee.
It's good that you got Monday off, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed like this time around, there's a bit of a change up in some lineup as well, some fresh faces.
People haven't seen. I mean, I just joined to Liam Sharp. He's just moved back from the US, so I think it's probably the first time he's been here. Keith Burns has never been here. It's fantastic aviation art. You look at his folder; it's all those commando covers that you recognise.
People need to pay more attention to that.
It's so amazing. And then, they're not really. They're like, it's a bit bigger than A4, but so detailed. So it was great to see him. Brian Bolland's back. He has been before, and attracts.
He's been pretty busy the whole day.
I'm sort of thinking, do I want to go and stand in that Bolland queue, or do I want to sort of see everybody else? And at the moment, I'm in the. I think I'll just see everybody else. But that's okay, because they're just, the guests. I mean, and Garth Ennis is here as well.
Yes.
And again, he hasn't been before, so fantastic people on debut. So.
Big names to get to Lawless. Big names.
Yeah. And I know it's it's the 10th anniversary, but I think actually, I wonder, it's not the fact it's the 10th anniversary is dragging people. It's the quality of the experience they get. I think people feel that they're well looked up. We're
right next to the tea and coffee.
Tea and coffee. The free ice cream has arrived.
Hello.
All right. End of interview.
Record scratch.
I think people are well looked after. I think I like the 3 items or less signing. Signing limit. So you don't sort of. I have been dragging a suitcase around this morning, but that's because I'm changing hotels. I'm not that guy with the suitcase. Everybody's looking at me like, you're that guy. Don't be that guy. I'm not that guy.
But do you, at a show like this, do you come to
buy or get things signed? Because there's a difference, isn't there? There's buying original art or getting things signed.
Yeah, some of the cheaper bits of original art, but I do like getting the program signed. That to me, because it's all then in one place.
Yeah. What do you do with that program?
It goes in my box with all the other programs of comic conventions over the last 50 years. Where do you put yours, Vince?
And quietly,
That's
by
a
the way, a summer evening.
That's a very personal question as well, Rich.
There's a lot of programs in there.
You've got a whole evening.
But all in one place. As much as I like getting individual things signed, they then obviously just go back to the bookshelves. Yeah. But you can sort of pull that out, and on Monday you have to go. Right, who are all these people? Got to write them down now, before you go to the bar tonight. To go, all right, that's Squiggle, that's Rob Williams. He's got it doesn't look like Rob Williams when he writes it. It's Garth Ennis again. It's Garth Ennis. You got to remember.
Yeah, when they sign quite a lot of things, it just becomes a shame.
I think once upon a time it said Garth. Now it's Garth. one go. So
something we've been talking about with this show is it's not a normal comic event. Do you know what I mean? In terms of this is a fan show for fans of 2000 AD to really get something out of. In terms of the people here, it's all really geared towards that crowd as a whole. And they cap the number of people they have. So actually, if you want to, it's not a long queue for most people. If you want to say, I want to go and see that person, you can do it. That's it. There's no sort of, I'm going to see 3 people today because I'm going to be in 3 very long queues. No, I'm going to see 20 people today because I'm going to be in 20 very short queues. So actually, so I love that about it as well.
Relatively speaking, those queues for kind of Ennis and Rollins are not that big.
No, not compared to, if you were somewhere, you'd go to plenty of other things where it'd be like, oh my God, it's, and then it's people turning up with a suitcase full of stuff. And here it's like, no. Don't mind, get to the back of the queue again if you want, that's alright. But no, there's not too much that sort of thump as it all lands on the desk and your heart sinks a bit. And, mainly if you're the guy behind you going, oh shit.
I've just got the programme, can I?
And not even, some people, the artists, they're doing a sketch for somebody else, but they'll often, if you just want, just a, a signature, they'll do, keep it turning over, keep everyone happy. But just line up and they get everyone very happy. And I was in the bar here last night, and it's just like, where wouldn't I want to be? That's Brian Boland's over there, Mick McMahon's over there, John Higgins is next to you at the bar, Glenn's in there, it's just, everyone is in the bar.
That would have saying we're sitting down for this interview.
So, and of course the exhibition itself, which we could have a whole conversation.
A spin-off episode just for me talking about that.
And we'll need to get you back on the show to talk about some classic vintage comics anyway. But we'll let you get on with the rest of your day, and
thank you very much.
We'll meet you, see you back next to the art in a second.
Exactly.
We've got steak and ice cream.
Ice cream! Let's go.
So there you go. There was a little bit of audio from the shop floor. You can hear it. I mean, the audio came out surprisingly clear. I was quite pleased about that. But as you can hear in the background, it's a bustling show, and it was.
Yeah.
It really was.
It was busy, and there was a great atmosphere. We were only there for the Saturday. I know it was going for 2 days. As we're talking now, there's probably some people who are recovering from it.
Yeah.
Probably. Because there was VIP shows and all kinds of things. Big shout out to Sue for setting up the show and getting us in the door.
Cheers, Sue.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Sue.
But there was the way it was run was just.
Well, I mean, just to pick up on that, we did a lot of our talks near the a free tea and coffee station.
Oh, that was amazing.
Free tea, coffee, water, and squash for those.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going dry either. It was just that squash went down. Refilled back up straight away.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I mean, I think as we said a little bit in that audio, to call, I know it's kind of got it in the name, but Lawless is, to me, sort of not a comic convention. It's like a comic art sort of experience kind of thing. It's not. It doesn't run like your usual sort of Comic Con and stuff. The people that are there. It's zeroed in for that specific audience.
It's for 2000 AD fans, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
2000 AD fans.
People around that scene.
Yeah.
And it's basically you're paying to get access to that space to be able to have a 10-minute line to see Garth Ennis.
Yeah.
If you're a 2000 AD reader and you haven't been to Lawless, you've got to go.
Oh,
you'll fucking love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
And it's one of those things that. Obviously, we went to the 2040th many years ago. But this is the only. I mean, as far as I know, this is just giving that sort of I mean, it's a smaller version of it, but that kind of experience that's focused for those sort of readers. And like, you had the trader room, which we were browsing through some old books and old games and posters and all kinds of stuff. They had a big Lego. What was the name of the bike? Yeah, Lawmaster. There was then there was a sort of the creators room where you had all of the Liam Sharp, who has been in the States for many years. I think he's only just come back over to the UK, I think. And you had Bolland there, obviously John Wagner, Garth Ennis,
Connor Boyle.
Yeah, Connor Boyle. We bumped into Connor Boyle his first time there, and he was non-stop. I mean, he stopped for 5 minutes to talk to us because he was
a bit sort of taken aback in the amount of sketches he'd been commissioned to do.
Oh, that's good.
And I think
I've got to do all these fucking drawings.
Yeah. But I think it is kind of it's a bit of an eye opener for like some artists and creatives. I think because there are some of these people that they do it. They've done that a lot of the convention circuit, haven't you? And we've all been at shows. We just sat there thinking, right, okay. Sometimes you're just sketching just to keep yourself sort of busy. Sometimes. But Lawless, that's why I say Lawless isn't that kind of show, because the people went, and as soon as they saw him, and of course like Hookjaw and stuff like that, and there was examples of his pages there. All the artists had portfolios, which is just lovely. We love browsing through the portfolios and stuff.
So I was talking to a friend the night before and saying I was going to go to this comic convention, and I was trying to explain how it was a little bit different from your standard MCM, that kind of jazz. And the way I did it was basically I pulled out a copy of NPC2 and a copy of Nemesis and said, look, these are both comics, and in some forms they would live together quite happily. Lawless is very much focused on Nemesis and this sort of style of artwork. Whereas, and that's not to take away from NPC2 at all. No. It's an amazing book, but it's not that crowd for that book. Not that crowd, not for that book.
It's interesting that they've gone like hyper focused into like that area, and they're still getting the footfall and the numbers and the people interested in it.
And it was buzzing. It was absolutely loads of people there.
There's still plenty of room to sort of walk around and sort of, you can let people do their own thing. Some people are just they're talking to creators while they're having something sketched or signed. A highlight. Go on, Dan. That
gallery. I know you've seen it before, T. You guys seen it before, but the first time I'd been there.
Yeah,
it's a different exhibition though, isn't it?
Okay. It's usually they mix up the exhibition every time. And this time it was bits from David Roach's personal sort of gallery, and it was just phenomenal. That is
breathtaking.
I mean, I'd go to art exhibitions like that all the time if they were in my neck of the woods. Do you know what I mean? Just we were staring at pages, and these are. I will say this to just people in general. I implore you to look at sort of vintage art and vintage sort of
the traditional,
traditional UK art and stuff. And if you think, oh, that's not for me, the subject matter or the genre stuff may not be for you, but look at the artwork on display. There was
the craftsmanship is just unreal.
There was stuff there. There were historical illustrations. They were clearly for some sort of book or educational book possibly. I saw one small sketch that was obviously a scene. It said Lookin' magazine. Remember Lookin' magazine? So it was obviously an illustration for one of those sort of tales, and it was still, this is beautiful work. Just the absolute draftsmanship.
There was a page from a Dread comic, and I don't know if you know this one, T, where a guy injects himself, and then every so often he turns into this kind of like leathery beast. And in this one page, he's trying to hang himself, and he transforms, and he's like the monster stuck in the noose, and there's someone shining a torch on him. And
I know,
the artist had kind of inked the whole piece. I think it might have been, and then they used whiteout on over the top to kind of to show the torch beam and the highlights on the scale, and such a confidence in being able to do that. Because it's like you fucked it up, and you fucked it up.
He was being talked about on the Slack the other day, wasn't he? Because he's the one who used to put a timer on. If I finish that, this is how much they get out of me for the money they're paying me. But the stuff he does is fucking amazing,
mate. The fucking things on that is a lot of work.
There's also, we talked a lot yesterday about logo placements.
And
you can see how these pages have left spaces for the logo. It's not just a splash page where they're just going to plaster on logo over the top of it.
It does not degrade the. I mean, I think there's almost people that have sort of locked into this mindset of I need to fill the page for it to be a piece of art.
Yeah.
Whereas you go there and you can clearly see, well, there's a blank panel there where the logo's going to go and the credits.
Or an advert sometimes.
Yeah,
even.
Exactly. And it's all just absolutely stunning and adds to the look of the piece, I think.
There was a page with maybe like 15, maybe 20 medieval soldiers on there.
Oh,
and using the spears of the soldiers to frame where the logo is going to go.
Yeah.
And it all felt like a natural storytelling. It doesn't feel like they're... Yeah.
And then we didn't
sitting in his front room, you know.
Yeah.
Not on the internet. No fucking none of that shit.
Yeah. There was absolutely none of that. And of course, what I love about exhibitions like this was then, as we were walking around, the evolution of our discussion about like comic art and comic design, cover design for any like indie creators and stuff. And certainly we do witness a lot of people that have they have these fantastic products, and sometimes it trips and fumbles in the cover area, and it's not always the artwork. It's the design. It's the placement of things which just sort of lets you down at the last hurdle.
Yeah.
And I would say just sort of look at these bits of artwork, you know, just look at vintage artwork and just see, you know, and these were people that were just doing it, you know, it's their just 9 to 5, you know, whatever. They're just churning this stuff out. And that goes for, I mean, there was a lot of old Commando covers, the painted stuff.
What's the name? Was it Scream all cover or something?
Oh, there was a Scream.
The complete collection or something.
Yeah. That's the one you sent, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Really lovely piece. And
yeah. And it was just, you know, one of the great things about Lawless is they do a different exhibition every time, and just having that sort of vintage stuff. And like I say, it's not like I'm going there thinking, oh, I want to see pages of ABC Warriors, or I want to see pages of Judge Dredd. I go in there, and half the time I don't know what it is, but I've got pictures on my phone just so I can stare at it again. Do you know what I mean? Because
there's some George and Lynn there.
Yeah.
That's exhibition.
Some classic
Burns,
stuff. Yeah.
But I think that last year, myself and Vince went. There was like loads of cutaways of like Thunderbirds and
Thunderbird stuff. Yeah.
Stingrays. Yeah. Brilliant. Really good.
Yeah. So it's, you know, an exhibition like that is an education as well as just an absolute joy. So, you know, and I think some people, you know, don't forego those kind of rooms at a comic convention. Visit them. And also, they're just a quieter, more chilled out space. It's almost like a little reading room, isn't it? You just go in there and it's just,
it's a kind of library-like atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a bit of reverence.
I think also in the same way, like, spend a bit of time looking what talks are on as well.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't do that enough at conventions.
No, 5 minutes at the beginning of the day, just be like, okay, what talks are on? It punctuates the day nicely. It gives you a bit of time to like sit down, chill out.
Yeah.
And even if it's a case of like, I can get there 5 minutes early, read some comics I picked up, and then listen to a talk.
Yeah. Especially if it's a show like that, we're going to be there 2 days. You can pick your spots. There's going to be no. It's curated. That's, you know, you don't. As we were saying in that little bit of audio, you know, there's plenty of space. If you're a fan if you're a fan, if you're there, then it's for you. So, you know,
I think that's the thing about. I always think about. I think I've been there 3 times. I didn't go this time, but is that it's created for fans. It's not a place. Oh, I think I might like comics. I'll go along. That's not really what it's for. Which some conventions are, quite rightly too, but this one I don't think is.
No.
And it caters to people who are fans because there's no 2000 AD festival.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the 2000 AD festival for me.
Yeah.
100%. I think that's it's a show for people who like the genre.
Yeah.
And you've got to go with eyes open. And if any kind of like, I'm just going in for a browse, there's other shows you can go to get a better experience of that sort of thing. But if you're a fan of 2000 AD, if you're a fan of these artists, if you like a 5-minute queue to get a thing signed,
that's the place to go.
Golden. Yeah. Great.
And like if you think, I want to see this artist, and you walk around the room and they're busy, just have another wander around, and they won't. You know, you will have a point. Because you know, one of the highlights was for me was finally getting to meet Parr, and who was with Rob Williams. So
he was a dude.
Absolute dude. Yeah, really nice bloke, and we might talk a little bit more about that book a bit later.
I'm kind of kicking on myself. I didn't buy one of those prints of the cars.
Yeah,
you were showing off. The blue one was like, oh man, that's lovely.
He was. I mean, we sort of threw some questions at him. He was a super nice guy, and he's only just getting better and better, and he loves drawing cars and stuff like that. And he was sketching when we saw it was Petrol head and there was who was it?
Hammerstein,
like having a face off, and it was one of those, oh, look at that, and then he opened up about a love of ABC Warriors and stuff like that, and you just think, right, just an absolute dude. So that was an absolute pleasure. So yeah, great fun was had. Stay tuned for when Dan starts marketing it again next year.
Couple of weeks.
Well,
I won a prize in the raffle.
Tony won a prize. Yep.
He thought we was pulling his leg.
I thought you'd just been nice and had bought me something because I was missing out. And you know how I get FOMO, don't I? Yeah. So, no matter, but that was very nice of you. Yeah.
You won.
Very kind.
Yeah. Very kind. No, you bought the ticket, so
but
won it.
You could have easily gone, oh, yeah, that was my money, that one. Your money didn't win anything, Tony.
Yeah.
Not that I don't think you would do that. I know you wouldn't do that. But some people might.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people might, not us, not us.
Yeah. No. But I
one for all and all for one. That's what I say, Tony.
I did say like some people would just take the money and say he didn't win nothing.
Yeah,
but I said not us.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if you gave us a bit more money, maybe if you gave us 50 quid, we could have split it 3 ways, and then we'll.
Yeah.
Where are you? Why can I hear exotic music? No reason. But I want a Dan Cornwall print of Dread.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
Yeah, and he was there and like constantly busy all the time.
Did you speak to Ennis at all, or
he was never? We 2 times we went past there. He wasn't there. He was away.
Yeah.
Right. There's a big queue, and it's like I've gone for lunch. Start signing at 11 a.m. and he was.
Yeah,
we just missed him.
Yeah.
So
and we didn't want to be those sort of like poke your head round and go, "Hello, do you remember us?"
Remember me? Yeah. He was on our comics podcast talking about.
We've got press passes.
Yeah. I was kicking myself. I wish I'd have brought Get Fury because I would have queued up for that.
Yeah.
And got issue 1 signed.
Yeah. Did he not have any copies with him, or?
He might have done, but the table was bare when we were.
Yeah. I think it was one of those things that came together sort of fairly late. He was going to be in the area, so it was like, I'll pop along, kind of thing. Of course, him just sort of going, I'll pop along, makes a lot of fans go, oh my god, he's going to be there. It's funny how comic fans work, isn't it? But
I fucked up on the recording. There's 2 characters from Strontium Dog that walked past us, Tony. One was the Gronk, and the other one was the Scottish Strontium Dog. And is it McNulty?
Something like that.
I think I've said his name wrong on the recording, but
I think as soon as I started thinking about it, because I knew you were going to say it, I thought, now I can't remember. I had one of those fucking moments.
Yeah.
But I think you're right.
Midden face
McNulty or something like that.
That's it, yeah.
That Gronk costume was really good as well.
Yeah, it's good, yeah.
And now that I've actually read some Strontium Dog, I know exactly what it was.
There you go.
Instead of going, what the fuck is that? And then trying to sleep with it.
Has Overtaken Road Trooper is your favourite, though?
Well, I do like Road Trooper.
I wonder if they ever make that movie. Do you remember Duncan Jones had shaved a Mohican, didn't he, as a little teaser to say that was his next project? And then that was like years ago, though, wasn't it?
Who would you have as... we're not going to go too much in this, but who would you cast as Road Trooper? I'll tell you I would.
That's
and it's only just because I've watched The Beekeeper. I'd have the Stath.
Statham.
Well, the thing is, he's got range. He can play anyone.
Yeah.
He can. Yeah. He can do anything.
Yeah.
He can look after bees. He can keep bees.
I'd put Anna Taylor-Joy in it because she's in everything fucking else.
Yeah.
You could do that one with she's the nurse poisoning Rogue. She tries out all the poisons.
For God's sake, look. This is gold, gents. Let's not give Hollywood all these free ideas because they'll never credit us.
Well, the thing is that Hollywood don't actually cast people who suit the role anymore, do they? They just cast people who are popular.
Yeah.
I think it's got nothing to do.
So you're saying it's going to be Dwayne The Rock Johnson is Road
Probably.
Well, you could animate and have Chris Pratt doing the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Can he? Yeah. He can do like an Italian accent, can't he? So he's
fine. Good.
Road Trooper's Italian, is he?
Well, he's done that. Wouldn't he do the Super Mario Brothers? Does he do like an Italian accent in that? Does he? I don't know. I don't watch that shit. No.
Yeah. So there you go. There is our mini report, and it was a sunny day as well. And we're all.
That was lovely. Yeah,
it was lovely.
It was a lovely day. Just in general, I felt like death. So thank you to everyone that said hello. And
we had a nice bit of lunch, didn't we? That's a good thing about it being there. There's loads of places to go to eat in there.
Yeah,
it's good,
It's quite a buzzing place, Bristol, especially on that day.
Yeah. Well, I realised
you're there, Tom. So
Well, yeah. Well, I realised it was there's a festival on the Downs up basically to the north of the city, and then there was also a graffiti festival in the south.
Yeah.
Just a lot of people, knocking around. Frankly,
I'd have thought Harris would have been at that.
Yeah,
Harris. Yeah,
I think she was.
Normally she's done art pieces there before.
She's done it before, isn't she?
Yeah.
And it was the first time
Quite
I
a lot
met
of
Tom
graffiti.
Curry, was that?
When I came in on the National Express, I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah, it's a big graffiti city.
Down on the megabus.
Yeah. That was National Express, one on the megabus.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On the National Express.
I had to upgrade like £2 to get the National Express.
Yeah, you got to.
That's good.
I tell you what,
50%.
Yeah.
Let's go pick him up, walk him over.
If you sort of do the Comic Mart or anything like that in London, right, let's have some bus talk. You want to catch like something like the National Express, because I'll tell you for why. Because even if you've got like a 2-3 hour trip back, if you come out of a Comic Mart, you've got stuff to read.
The good thing is, if you read comics on the bus, no one sits next to you.
Absolutely no one. Yeah. I sat at the back of the bus just reading Old Eagles. I remember that. It was heavenly.
You put a little Parr next to you. Let me just move out your way. No, it's fine.
It's right. Okay, let's file all of these.
I reckon you get more people sitting next to you if you just had a pile of Razzle readers' wives next to you rather than a pile of comics.
Yeah, that's a different mart, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well read. No, you can probably get them at the fucking similar magazine.
The only thing is you can't get sort of DVDs of people being killed. That was it, wasn't it, Tony?
That's fucking gold.
Hello, mate. You're right. Yeah. Have you got any DVDs of people being
killed?
Killed. I think it was like no.
But we've got a DVD with the entire series of The Darling Buds of May if you want it.
He did have that as well.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Anyway, from Comic Marts and Lawless. I tell you what, Tom's having such a time. He's got his feet up.
I got feet up.
Why are you two so casual? Me and Vince are sat up paying attention. You two are like fucking.
Well, if we're relaxed, we're having a good time, and then the listeners have a good time.
I keep thinking one of you, the camera's going to drop a little bit, and there's something going on. That's what I think.
Hands are going to remain in shot from now on.
Thank you. Good.
I'm not going to do that.
Always keep the hands in view,
yeah.
Even if it's someone else's hand.
It's like a Disney performer. They always got to have their hands in shot in case they get done for a lawsuit for grabbing someone.
It's like a mass.
Oh dear.
Okay.
We are having fun, and we hope you're having fun as well, listeners.
Speaking of challenges,
yes,
we did talk about challenges.
Yes, we had a bit of a reading challenge. We said it. We've forgotten when we said it, but I think when the first time
it's been a few months.
Yeah, the first time we did this last year, didn't we? And I think I picked Akira for mine.
Yep.
Can you remember what you guys picked for the first one? I know Tony picked.
War Comics the first one. Star Wars the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Mate, I'm completely fucking blanking on what I picked.
Have we done two?
Oh, yeah. You Walking Dead done.
Oh yeah,
yes, Walking Dead.
Yeah, right. Wasn't it? Yeah.
Walking Dead.
So occasionally we like to set these sort of reading challenges, and it's not so much. Well, challenge is a poor term for it, really, because it's always a joy doing this. But it's a case of we've all got these books, comics, whatever. It doesn't matter whether it's a long run or maybe it's a miniseries or just a classic book or something. And sometimes I've always been meaning to read that or start reading that or checking out that classic book, but they're always there, don't they? There's always something else getting in the way. There's always another new book that you're hooking to your veins. So occasionally we like to set ourselves a little challenge, and we put pressure on ourselves by putting it on the show, so we kind of have to do it. But as a result, we end up reading and having fun and just checking out some amazing books. So who wants to go first with their challenge?
Yes.
We'll announce the books as we go instead of announcing them all now. We'll... So Tom, what did you challenge yourself?
So a bit of context before I start.
Yeah.
I left school at 16. Got a job at the university, and I would.
Well done.
Thank you. Yeah. I would every sort of like lunchtime. I try and go out to like the nearby sort of like bookshops or anything like nearby. Just sort of like talking about leaving the building for a bit. Trying to get away from work. And I went into the local Oxfam bookshop and found basically a mint copy of Lone Wolf and Cub Omnibus Volume 1. So this is from Dark Horse, and this is basically the big 700-page omnibus of Lone Wolf and Cub. It's got the nice sort of classic cover of the father and son, sort of like they're running away from. I say running away, or they're on the move from a couple of bodies behind, and there's all the classic white bookmark framing the right hand side. So I picked this up, and I was very much into martial arts at the time. Very much all like a Japanophile in terms of like loving that kind of culture, and that's all Frank Miller cover just really grabbed me in terms of like, so it's beautiful. It's a nice sized book, and I think it's about £7. So
that's great.
Wow.
And it was probably about, we're 2024 now, so it's probably about 2016 or so, roughly. So I picked up this book, put the receipt in as a bookmark, maybe read 20 pages, 30, and then something else came along, and it just lived on the shelf.
Yeah.
And every time I moved house, every time I, moved from place to place, or or do a book sort, it would always survive any sorts, because I think, at some point I'll get around to reading this.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, fuck it, let's read it. So for this challenge, pull out the bookmark. That's completely faded now. That's now just a blank.
Yeah.
That's just that blank paper.
God, yeah.
Blank bit of teal roll.
Yeah. That's now gone.
I was at train tickets for my favourite. I'm always opening a book and there's a train ticket in there. Oh, I didn't know I went to flipping Lancaster on that day or something. It's like that.
For somebody who doesn't know what Lone Wolf and Cub is, Tom.
Yeah.
Oh,
Could you give us a synopsis?
Of course, I can.
Yeah.
So it is a English translation. Well, I read it was English translation of Goseka Kujimi, and basically it is a story about a disgraced samurai, what was once the emperor's executioner, traveling across Japan with his son in a sort of a modified pram basically taking on, for want of a better phrase, taking on like a problem of the week. So he'll go to a place, there will be bandits, or maybe there'll be some injustice with the town, and he will, through his own moral compass, set it right or wrong. And then you learn throughout as the story, and essentially you could carry on that sort of formula ad infinitum, right? You just always a new place, always a new corrupt official, or bandits on the road, or a spirit, or something that needs to be sorted. But then you get flashes of his backstory about how he ended up in this position, where he started off, why he's now in this place where he is now. And like, look, these are big omnibus. I think there's about 7, maybe 10 of them or so. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there are plenty of these big omnibus, and they span his whole lifespan. It's been parodied several times as well. So the most famous one being from Usagi Yojimbo, Lone Goat and Kid, and also I believe there's a 2001. I think there is a future one as well.
2100, isn't it?
That was it. Yes,
like
2100. Yes, yeah. Which I believe has a link to War of the Worlds. I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. I've not read that one. Oh, okay.
I think there's a War of the Worlds linked one as well. Maybe that's again with Usagi Yojimbo. Maybe they took Lone Goat and Kid upwards. But yeah,
okay.
It's
the first time I remember reading it, because I think what you're reading is the third iteration in English of it. So it had First Comics brought it out in like the Dark Knight Returns format, the Prestige format thing, which initially had covers by Frank Miller. I remember picking that up. And then it was a sort of slightly thinner volume, but the same size. So it's much more sort of paperback size now, isn't it? And then they brought out these much thicker, like doorstops, which is the one you've got there, isn't it? Which I think is the best format for it for me.
I think. Go on, sorry. I was
going to say, but the first time I read it was the first time I ever saw that now massively cliched thing where someone cuts someone in half, and they don't actually. You get a couple of panels before they fucking flog poke.
Yeah.
Which we see in films, we see in cartoons, we see in comics all the time now, don't we? But that's the first time I saw it. It was in that book.
So I read through Omnibus 1, which is about 700 pages, and I would say for at least 2/3 of this, it is very much that kind of the traveling montage thing in terms of like travel to a place, source out the problem.
This is Usagi again, isn't it?
Well? Fantastic. Yeah. But then you start to see touches of it affecting his son as well.
Yeah.
Which is where it gets really interesting in terms of, the sins of the father are now passing on to, and again, generational legacy is a massive thing in Japan, and seeing that passed on to child as well. Yeah, child as well. There's also quite a few films as well based off this. It's a massive. It's incredibly popular in terms of like across Japan. There are loads of ways to consume this story, and this is just one great way to do it.
He's such a consistent artist as well, man. He did. Is it Samurai Shogun Executioner is another series he did, which it's been released in a similar format, which is well worth looking out for as well. I think
I've never heard of that one
as well.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
And he's so consistent. His art. I mean, he's not overly noodly, but the action, the motion of the sword, and people appearing out of the water to battle him, and all this sort of thing, so beautifully done. Just with that brush, really lovely.
I first came across it watching that Shogun Assassin film. I didn't know anything about it till I saw that, and just like that is fucking awesome. That's just
I bought that in a bootleg video shop in Camden Town, in like the late 80s, I think, and watched the shit out of it. Yeah.
Here's a bit of trivia. It's in like when they get cut, there's like huge jets of blood, and that kind of became quite a big thing. There's a scene that came from in Seven Samurai where someone gets cut. The special effect malfunctioned, and rather than blood coming out, it came out in an absolute torrent. And they just turned into it stylistically, saying, "Oh yeah, we're meant to do that." And then from that on, they started incorporating it into films. So when people got cut, it was like all this blood coming out, because it looks fucking awesome. It's great. But just because of that.
Historically, I mean, it's the water margin. I first started noticing this thing because it was just on when I was a kid, and then we had Akira Kurosawa, and then I picked up stuff like this, and it's a really, really interesting Japanese Western, I suppose. Is the only comparison. I love it. Man, it's
a fascinating. We're currently watching Shogun.
That's another one from the time, Rich Chamberlain one. Yeah.
And when you look into, it's weird that, because I can remember bumping into, coming across that book and my grandparents when I was a kid, and thinking, "Fucking hell, this is it's like Lord of the Rings size."
Yeah, I remember reading it when I was a kid off the back of seeing the Richard Chamberlain series, and it goes there with some of the subject matter.
Yeah, fuck me, it's pretty. Yeah,
but no, great book, fantastic series. I've read Omnibus 1, and we're looking to pick up Omnibus 2 and just slowly work through it, frankly. It's just absolute joy to read, and seeing, again, it'd be very easy to keep the story going, with just going from place to place, but actually how the sun's been corrupted by as well, where that story's going in terms of, really interesting. It's obviously all done. There are 28 volumes in total, and I believe, I just double checked to make sure I was right, there are 12 there are 12 of these collected versions. 12 of these collected versions. So it's massive.
So, do we know how it ends? Because obviously in the book,
it's the end.
He's kind of always kind of considered like a demon and shunned by society, and presumably that kind of is going to impact this Daigoro, isn't it, his son? How that would affect him. I can't imagine too well if your dad's
exactly
being hunted perennially, and just all you see is blood and violence. It's gonna stain you a little bit.
You can get touches of that in the book I read, frankly. Okay. No, honestly, I'm not sure at all how it ends, but it's
interesting.
Great to read, and it's nice to see Dark Horse again. Always like Dark Horse's stuff.
It's flying the flag.
And just solid productions and well put out, and
they put out good collections, and I'm just gonna jump in and piggyback.
Should we stay in feudal Japan?
It feels very apropos, because mine was a Dark Horse book. This character is also, according to Wikipedia, which is always true, has also been published by the likes of IDW, Radio Comics, Mirage Studios, Fantagraphics Books. It's an ongoing series that is, of course, I mean, everyone will probably know what I'm talking about. The name even got mentioned a couple of times. This is an omnibus that Mr. Tony Esmond gifted to me.
Generous friend.
So that one day I would begin this journey, and it is only just the beginning of the journey of starting to read Usagi Yojimbo by multiple Eisner and Harvey Award winner Stan Sakai. This is where I've started. Is book 1. This is a 650-page book. This is the Dark Horse book, so it picks up pretty much. It had already been publishing for quite a few years, I think, before Dark Horse picked it up, and certainly, I mean, this is a second edition with a brand new cover, which is absolutely beautiful. I must say. And it's another one of those, probably like the Lone Wolf book. You probably kill a person if you hit him with it. And that's the joy of these sort of omnibuses, isn't it? I find so much joy in omnibuses.
Mine's mental. It's even hard to hold on my knee. I'm going to say, instantly, just to interject there, I think this might be your second Sakai book, Usagi, because didn't I get you that? Did I get you? I know it's just a fan art almost thing, isn't it?
It was the covers.
Not a comic.
There was the cover art thing.
Yeah.
I had never properly read. And I
read a story.
I read like a purely Usagi Yojimbo. And maybe I read some shorts or maybe an issue here or there over the years. I think if you're into any sort of independent comics or anything like that, it's impossible to avoid Usagi Yojimbo for very good reasons, because
these are the ones I've got as the Fantagraphics.
You got the Fantagraphics.
They're sort of almost like mini, slightly smaller size, don't they, those ones?
Yeah. And this is, for those who haven't read it, and the back of the book says it, the close of 16th century Japan is regarded as the age of civil wars, as feudal lords fought amongst themselves for land and power. It was during the Battle of... Oh my god, I'm going to murder that name. Ada Shigehara. Did I get that?
Okay.
That the samurai
I couldn't correct you on it.
Yeah, the samurai Miyamoto Usagi lost his lord Maifune to the armies of Lord Hikaji, with no clan. Usagi now walks the warrior pilgrimage, searching for harmony. I apologise if I murdered any names there, but this, of course, much like Akira, was one of those. I'm going to start this one day. I need to, but it's been going for over, since 1984, I believe, and there's been over 200 issues. Plus, it's in one of those. Where the hell do you start with something like this? Seriously, the Dark Horse Omnibus is a great place to start.
The thing is, you can, if you want to be, we like to go back to. I'm only going to read this from issue 1. We're like that sometimes, aren't we? But if you go right back to his early beginnings, he was in an anthology to start with. He's actually drawn quite differently.
Yeah.
He's almost like a sort of a little fluffier, squatter, almost like much more of a cartoony, not cartoony, but kid's rabbit almost. He
finds the way he wants to draw Usagi, and then it kind of sticks to that. Yeah. But at the beginning, it's very kind of like head's a lot bigger and the figure's a lot squatter.
Yeah, and it's consistent. This book is just...
it's been consistent for decades now. Yeah.
Go on, Tom.
There's so much Usagi to work through, right? In terms of like, even you could just spend a whole 2 hours just talking about lettering.
Yeah.
Oh
god, yeah. Like, or just the little details, which is a part of the joy of the book. That sometimes it can treat some quite serious, dramatic beats, but also it's a book where. And I always get a kick out of it. When a character dies, there's a little bubble that comes out of their head with a little ghost. That's how you know when someone's dead, because this isn't a graphic book. He's not making... a lot of the time these days when you have samurai books and stuff, you're seeing beheadings and you're seeing all of these things. But there's a real class to Sakai's work.
He kills a lot of characters.
You
don't see their heads rolling down a hill. Yeah.
And half the time, there's not so much... There's no blood. Do you know what I mean? You just see swinging a sword and the other character going falling down, and then you see the little speech bubble with the ghost appearing from their mouth, and you know that he's absolutely fucked someone up.
There's also the little shorthand of like using different animal species in different ways. For example, the vizier being a snake. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a simple shorthand. But
ninjas are bats.
Ninjas are bats.
The Neku Ninja, haven't you? The cat.
I loved that when they first came across. Like, we're being spied by like ninjas, and it's like, watch out, they've got blades on their wings. It was amazing. I was like, fucking hell.
On the moles ninjas now as well. There's like a mole tribe who are like they burrow underneath. Yeah, they're like the other ninja tribe now.
But like the samurais that I've noticed, like there's a dog one later on. There's the rhino that constantly goes around with
his mate.
Jen
who constantly, like, because Usagi, and I think part of the beauty of this is also, as you were saying, talking about the lone wolf and cub, it's the travelling character, the travelling warrior, and certainly Sakai's kind of, I think probably part of the longevity of it is it's little pockets of time, little moments. He could, and which meant that not only is Usagi Yojimbo, he can sustain an ongoing book of his own, but he can be a page in a Dark Horse Presents. He can be a 4-pager somewhere else. And this sort of book has those things. It has these 1-page books sometimes, and he's playing with the form. Like, you'll have a story that is, Usagi just passes through this village and he gets to know the locals. He helps out a local and then becomes friends with the farmer, and the farmer's daughter likes him, but he's like, steady on, I'm not into this. You'll have a moment, which is a good issue or two, because of course he comes into, he bumps into some wrong-uns and then ends up having a fight and then ventures onwards. And then you'll get another story, which is a few issues of people within this town and the politics of it. And
that's where they've gone with it now. So they've adopted the Hellboy model, where it's like a 3-part story.
Okay.
And it's almost got a subtitle of the name. But the thing is, like with me, is Usagi Yojimbo is almost like it just comfort eating.
Yeah.
Because you know as soon as he starts walking along a road, there's going to be bandits who attack him.
Yeah.
You know when he finds like a hut in the middle of nowhere, one of the people in there is going to be a demon or a fucking murderer. You know, it's comfort. I love it. I love that that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as he goes into a town, he's going to help solve a crime. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Or like if there's just there's a commoner just getting treated badly, and he steps in and go, no, don't. It's
going to be complicated.
He bumps into bullies all the time and gives them hell.
And there's a lot of female thieves. He always sort of seems to be sort of had over a little by a female pickpocket or something like that. A bit, you know.
So, what age would you say is like the youngest you could read Usagi at?
I mean, I was reading it. 14, I suppose, but I'd go younger. I'd say 12.
I was giving it to
12 plus, I think. Yeah,
I was giving it to my son when he was sort of like 9, 10 years old.
Yeah,
he was reading it.
Yeah. But I mean,
might not have got all of it.
I think you can, because there's one of the many joys about this book is discovering it, which kind of surprised me, because so many people talk about the extensive, the feudal Japan and everything, and the attention to detail and these little moments, and which makes it seem like such a lofty proposition, this book. And then you open it and just think, it's a cartoonist.
Yeah,
he's just having fun. There are slapstick jokes. There are these little panels that are just humour. And
you can see why him and Sergio are mates.
Yeah.
There's definitely, Because he letters a lot of Sergio's work, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But then you contrast that with when he finds his master again.
Yeah.
And that storyline, and you go it's just a whole nother thing of
Yeah.
And there is ages to him. It's almost like a Viking story. So there is a period where he's older and he's got a son.
Yeah. A lot of this book as well. There's so many flashbacks to when he's a kid and he's training.
Right. Okay.
And
is his son called Jotaro? Is that right?
Remember now. He's in the. Senso's the one in the future where they have the big robot rabbit.
One of the stories I like, which is near the. I haven't finished this book, but I'm about 200-300 pages in, and I'm in it now. And it's a little story of his master when he's a little kid, and he's teaching. It's just gardening. Here's this little plot of land. Here's some seeds. Grow these seeds, and then I'll know that you're responsible enough to do this.
Yeah.
And of course you get this precocious little kid, and he's watering them and they're just not growing, and he's like, oh no, what am I going to do? And he sees another farmer and like all these lush vegetables, and he almost steals like some vegetables from this plot to put in his own plot. And in the end he goes to his master and says, I'm so sorry. It was ruined. I couldn't grow them, and I was going. He actually says I was going to do this, and I was going to. I'm so sorry. His master goes, don't worry about that. I boiled the seeds before I gave them to this, so they were never going to grow. The whole point of the lesson was how you
tested him.
Did it?
But he picks part of that sort of Eastern, if we want a better term, Eastern wisdom sort of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's moments of Zen and sort of cultural touch points. There's one story I always remember, Usagi, and he's only in it for a couple of pages. It's about a kite maker, and this village has this big kite festival, and he spends the entire year making this big kite. And it says about the process of like him and his apprentice go to the woods, and they cut down this bamboo, treat it, and do it, blah, blah, blah. And this day comes around to this festival, and he's got this huge kite that's going to be flown. And then Usagi comes boiling in, like fighting all these people. They end up on the kite getting blown away, fighting. And he's like, no, this is terrible. And then later on, he doesn't know what's happened to the samurai, and he goes out into the woods to start the process again. And he finds the structure of the old one. And he's like, I could just use this and redo it. And he's like, it's not about that. And then goes off to like, I
love that. I love the fact that comics makes you learn, doesn't it? As a kid reading these comics, and also like reading Lone Wolf and stuff like that, you think I'm reading about another culture here.
Yeah. There's a lot of wisdom, as well as like the whole, good and bad, and like there are clans. There's the political struggles within these clans, and then you have like a couple of pages. There was a beautiful story that was, and I like it when stories do this and characters do this. It's his book. But Sakai does stories where Usagi is a background character in something, and a story happens around, and he's in it, he's there. And one of the ones that really struck me, it's wonderfully done as well. I love it when people play with the structure. It's all like widescreen, almost like long panels, and it's just these people. There's a little statue there. It's like people are showing, like, they put this little statue down, and we're going to sort of put an offering to it, look after it after years, and you'll bring us luck and stuff. And the camera, for want of a better term, stays on that statue, and time passes, and you see Usagi. You see Usagi walk in. You see, like, people offering things down. They put a little jacket on the statue. You see Usagi walk in, and then a gang walks in, and they have a fight, and then that moves on. And then at the end, the people come back to the statue, and they said, "Oh, that's weird. It looks like the statue's smiling." And there's been loads of offerings to it as well, and it's beautiful storytelling. It's only like 4 or 5 pages. It's a real sort of...
He's a clever fucker, isn't he? He really is.
Yeah.
The things I like about it as well, he's a cute rabbit, essentially, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's the biggest motherfucker there. He's like absolutely lethal.
Yeah.
And then, but then you have the whole arc with, like, Zeto Aino, the
pig. The pig, yeah.
Christ,
the plastic nose or the wooden nose.
Yeah. But like we spent all the time talking Usagi, we haven't mentioned Turtles once.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that surprised me, because this Dark Horse book starts with the turtles in it, and I was like, "Oh wow!" Immediately, because I guess, like, when it first started in Dark Horse, that's one of the ways they're going to, as a publisher, it's like, right, people know that, let's bring that in immediately, let's get the eyes on it. And this was after, because Leonardo met him in the Turtles, didn't he? Before, because they have a history when you meet. The
history is quite complicated, because the newer one that came out last year, which was a crossover between Usagi and the Turtles, he knew who they were, but they didn't know who he was, because it was the way that they time travelled. It is rather complicated as well.
Yeah, because in this one, Leonardo knows him, the others are meeting him for the first time.
Right.
And the way they appear in it, there's like a sort of a shaman type guy who gets these small turtles, does a spell, and then all of a sudden the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are there, have an adventure, and then they go back in the end. I was like, oh wow, okay. That makes sense. It's definitely more of a Leonardo sort of focused story as well, because I think those two characters kind of...
Is the volume you read, is it black and white or is it colour?
Black and white.
Yeah. I mean, there's a big conversation going on about this, whether it's because they've recoloured a lot of the older comics. So it was at Dark Horse for quite a few years. Then it went to IDW for maybe 2 or 3 years during the period during lockdown, to be honest. And now it's back at Dark Horse. So I think they've got the rights back for it. But when it was at IDW, they were recolouring some of the older stuff. And some of the fans are like, "Oh, you know what fans are like? I don't like the coloured. I don't like. I'd rather have the black and white and that sort of thing." But to be fair, I don't mind.
I prefer the black and white.
It's in colour now.
Yeah,
it's more kind of like the calligraphy of the.
A lot of these old books, Bone's been coloured as well, isn't it? So,
it's the new series, which I go on about every time one comes out, but they're in colour now.
Yeah,
okay.
They're
and if you don't want to buy a coloured version of these books, the older ones, then just
loads of hundreds of issues.
But perhaps I'm missing something. What's with the lizards?
I've read about this, because he has said, because there's cat people, there's dog people, there's rabbit people, you can't have pets. In that world, so they have these lizards,
and they're always sort of in the background. They're always just kind of there. I've just come across one story that is, I mean, we're talking about Usagi being like an absolute badass. He's a comedy character because he's just being followed by loads of lizards, and he's almost, he's being bothered by them all the time. Things are falling on his head, and it's almost quite slapsticky. And these lizards have got like these big cartoonish sort of faces, don't they? They're all like smiley and. They almost look like little toy dinosaurs, the way these lizards.
Yeah, mate, when fucking Spot dies, that killed me as a reader. That fucking killed me. I can't remember who he takes out, but there's someone's about to kill the Zatoichi Eno character, the pig, and Spot sort of defends him with his life, and it's like, that's awful.
He's just been in it again, actually, the Zatoichi character. Yeah, he's been back in it recently.
Nice. But this story that had like loads of lizards in it, which didn't have many words, like Usagi hates them, he's being hounded by them. But then when he gets attacked, and he's sort of outnumbered, and they think they've almost got him down because they've sort of ambushed him. All the lizards jump on the bad guys, and so in the end, at the end, it finishes. Usagi's like in a sort of, he's getting some food, and all the lizards are there as well, and he's feeding them and stuff like that. It's just a real nice story. Yeah. So this Usagi Yojimbo, I can see why people like it. I think I might keep reading it. I think I might keep reading it. Yes, yeah. But
I've been at you. How many was that? Like a couple of years now.
I know.
With you.
To the point where I was just being belligerent.
Yeah. I love it, man. It's so good. It's such a refreshing read.
Yeah.
Because I get it monthly.
With the monthly stuff, I mean, the joy of omnibuses like this, and certainly a character like this, I feel like a coffee table, like every great coffee table book. I feel like I could jump in, read an issue or two, come back, and you get your fix. There's not really too much attached to it. With the modern one, is it more ongoing, and you need to keep?
It is ongoing, but the thing is, it kind of is anyway. It does travel through. There'll be parts at the end of that omnibus where they'll go, somebody will come back again.
Yeah.
And you've seen them before.
Yeah.
So that does have a backstory, but currently they're doing it in 3-issue stories. So they've just been up in the mountains. They've fought this sort of demon character, and he's hypnotized all these zombies. They've defeated him, and now they're back in the summer area, and they're on another story now. Okay. So it's 3-issue lumps. They do the way they do it at the moment. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, it's just the start of my journey. Don't be surprised if you hear me talk about it again in the future. That's mine. Okay, who's going to go next?
You want to go, Dan?
Sure. Okay. I went for Attack on Titan, which I know you've read, Tom, haven't you?
I have. Yeah,
I haven't read it. No.
This is a bit of a beast. It was 208 pages, and it's Shingi no Kyojin, the Advancing Giant, which is quite on the nose title for the thing. It's written and drawn by a chap called Hajime Isayama, and it's set in a world where humanity is forced to live in cities surrounded by 3 enormous walls that protect them from gigantic man-eating humanoids referred to as Titans. The story follows Aaron Yeager, who vows to exterminate Titans after they bring about the destruction of his hometown and the death of his mother. And it first started publication in 2009 and then wrapped up in April 2021. I initially got introduced to this when we was kind of having the big anime stuff coming, like the second wave with Demon Slayer and stuff like that. My son watching it, and I watched the first series, and I was like, "This is fucking amazing!" It's on Netflix. It's really good.
Is that the live action one?
No, it's all animated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there a live action one?
There is there has been live action.
Yeah, there has been.
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
But I think the animated one is where it's at. I think.
Yes.
You only have to watch a couple episodes of that, and it's like, oh man, this is fucking great.
Yeah. And the thing is, it almost starts like a horror book.
Yeah.
During in terms of you've got these massive things who are sort of attacking humanity. You've got the almost like the Spider-Man style swinging around the city, using that sort of thing, and then the book just keeps on going.
It's like kind of they live in kind of like a medieval kind of European England kind of.
I think it's German. It's based off. I think it's based off Germany. But but you're right. It is that kind of it is that sort of
like a walled city.
A walled city, yes.
And basically, humanity's kind of stuck behind these walls, and there's Titans all around, and they don't know what's happened and why they're there. And kind of the main character, Aaron Yeager, when he's a kid, he's like, "Why are we all fucking stuck behind these walls? We need to go out there and do something, kill the Titans." And then a huge, gigantic one that's hundreds and hundreds of feet tall appears behind the wall, kicks the wall in, and then all the Titans flood in and start eating people. And like I say, Tom, that first bit's horror because they're kind of they're like deformed humans.
They're nightmarish. I mean, I haven't read it, but I'm aware.
Skinless.
And they start kind of chewing people, and his mum's caught under some ruins of their house, and this guy says, I can either save your mum or try and get you kids out of here, and he leaves the mum and saves the kids, and he sort of Aaron Yeager sees his mum being eaten, which kind of it continues with the character. He kind of drives him forward. He fucking hates him from that point on. Mm-hmm. But the story goes places because he kind of jumps. He joins the scouts, which have that Spider-Man style stuff, which is the ODM gear. And there's kind of grappling hooks on their hips, and they're swinging around the city. And to take these Titans out, you've got to cut them on the nape of their neck, and that takes them out. Go on.
So, Stan, have you finished it?
Yes. Yeah.
So So I think that, and this, so what? So one thing you can say about manga is it generally finishes when it starts.
Yeah.
So it will finish, and there is an end to it, but
Yeah.
it has a common problem across the board where there's a really tight idea to begin with, and then it just keeps it has to fill a certain number of issues. It keeps on growing and becoming almost a bit more convoluted. And the story you read at the end is nowhere near related to what you were reading up.
No. For me, it really loses itself as it goes along, to the point where at the end I'm like, man, this is so far away from what this started out as. It's because it starts up as kind of mystery, like, why are they in this city? Why are these 3 walls there? Why are the Titans attacking? What's all the reason for this? And then it goes into a kind of like the royalty of the city is illegitimate, and they're trying to get the ousted heir to the throne back on the throne, and then they find out they were put there as prisoners, and there's a whole other island state that's kind of done this to them because of the stuff their city's done in the past. And it's like, oh man, this is really kind of
it just goes off the rails.
Yeah, it gets really hard to kind of follow. The interest level was really slacking at the end.
Yep,
I was kind of like, man, this is it's such a golden concept at the start, and
like even during the middle, you go like, okay, this is like there's a good level of growth here. I can see this getting kind of interesting, and then it just tails off to nothing, and it's unfortunate. It really is.
Okay,
it makes you wonder if they're kind of like, you start a comic and then over there, if the reading numbers aren't high enough, it gets cancelled. So they start telling the story, and they might not know if they get a chance to tell the whole thing.
So I know that polls and popularity are incredibly important over there. So if we take another book I've mentioned here, like My Hero Academia, they take a monthly poll of who the most popular character is, and that affects who turns up in the story more.
Right, man, that's amazing.
Join this.
Amazing and kind of weird.
2008 used to do a similar thing, didn't they? They used to do a readers poll,
It's very commercially based. Like, if character A is hot, character A is going to be in the fucking story.
Yeah.
And regardless of what the writer thinks.
Yeah. Which then does lead to, like, all of a sudden, it's Pooch.
Change in direction and stuff. Yeah.
But it's a Pooch, it's so I'm not quite sure what happened with Attack on Titan. I'm not sure why it kind of went off the rails. Maybe it got a bit almost too successful in that sense of like it had to keep on going.
Yeah, maybe it could well do. It's weird because the art style isn't particularly that good. If you put it alongside other kind of manga, a lot of it will fucking just blow it out of the water. It's not rubbish by any means, but just kind of like, okay, I've seen better stuff. Some of the like the Titan stuff and the action scenes are kind of, they really hyper distort limbs and stuff when they're kind of like punching or getting thrown and stuff, which was nice. But it was an interesting read. I'm glad I read it, but yeah, I'm not sure about it, if I'm honest.
I think there's a good volume, maybe 2 volumes in it. You know what I mean? Like if you read volume 1, volume 2, and be like, okay, I'm going to leave it there. Crack. You know what I mean? Like if you enjoy it, great. But I'd probably stop there and be like, that was a good, solid bit of storytelling, and then rather than going all the way through to the end, because it just doesn't quite sit the landing.
No.
And it's a shame. But
if you can watch the first episode of the anime wherever it's streaming, it's fucking really, the first season of that is like, oh, this is great, love it. But unfortunately, you don't have the ending to it, which is that satisfactory, because it's just
Okay, that's sad.
Interesting.
Yeah,
because it's very iconic right now. I mean, are they the ones you always see people at MCM and stuff
with the short brown jackets?
Yeah.
Oh, like again, there's some beautiful visual stuff in there, right?
Yeah.
So but everyone there's some bits of it where the first time you read Spider-Man and you see him swinging from building to building, you're like, oh, that you feel it in the sense of like how cool that'd be and how fun that'd be to see or like to experience. And you get that feeling with those first couple of issues, but then it just becomes less, they're pissing around in the woods.
One of the things that's interesting about it, like when the main character Aaron like says, well, I'm going to become a scout and use this like ODM gear to fight these Titans. That's what I'm going to do. They go up through like a training school, and you get like a dozen characters you start knowing that come up with him. And as the story progresses, they kind of either become like harder and more world weary, or they get wiped out. Like, and you're like, oh, fucking hell, he's just dead. He's dead. They killed him. And it's harsh, but kind of, in the first one, is like he a married couple, a young couple, and the husband gets attacked, and she's like, "Oh, quick, go help my husband! Like his heart stopped." And they run over to him, and she's doing like chest compressions, and it pans down, and he's not got any waist, and she's just fucking lost it. It's like, bloody hell! Yeah.
I'll do it.
It's dark, yeah.
It's dark, and it is definitely a horror book, especially in the early ones. But it just doesn't quite make it. And it's
hard to recommend because it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't stick the landing.
It is surprisingly common in manga, especially ones that have those sort of.
Just go on too long.
They're sort of designed to finish at a certain point, but they're too popular to finish. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like, you know,
maybe the creators have gone, fucking, I've had enough of this.
You can level that at like stuff like One Piece and Dragon Ball. It's like they're carrying on going because they're extremely popular.
Yeah.
But they've done so many stories. It's like, man, how do you keep coming up with stuff?
Yeah. But the difference with, I think, like the ones you mentioned there and Attack on Titan is the content. It's a dark, apocalyptic, horror-based, survival horror thing, and that's a non-stop ongoing is very or a long-term ongoing is very difficult to do.
Yeah.
Until especially to create those sort of thing. I mean, you create like a space pirate sort of like ongoing where they can meet anyone at any time and they're doing different heists and like you meet new characters and there's romance. You can do that. You can play with it forever and ever. But if it's like, I mean, take The Walking Dead. Do you know what I mean? How long can we
keep on doing that?
It's like back to yours, Vince, right? Like, I've never read an issue of Saga. I've gone like, he's phoning it in a bit there.
Yeah. Never.
Like,
never.
But you can have moments of horror, you can have moments of slapstick, you can have moments of comedy, romance, because of how that story's been set up to have that perennial character who just keeps on traveling but when... Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't an end when Attack on Titan started. There wasn't really an end in sight.
Imagine so. Yeah, they didn't have an end. They didn't know what it was going to do. They didn't think they'd even get an end. Like I said, because it wasn't going to be popular enough. But
and
like when Fist of the North Star started, Hoto no Ken, that was like almost like a villain of the week. There wasn't an overarching story, and obviously when it became popular, it's like, oh fuck, now we've got to bring in a bigger plot points and bring in more bad guys and.
Yeah,
I don't want to completely. If you see Attack on Titan on Humble Bundle, and you can pick up like you can pick up the digitals reasonably cheaply. Crack on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you'll have
You loads to read.
There's loads to read. You'll probably have a good time of it, and those Humble Bundles come in at what, 20 quid or so for the collection.
Yeah, that actually steals sometimes.
It's 208 pages that
208. Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot.
You'll get a lot of comment for your money, and you'll probably enjoy enough of it to be like, oh, that's pretty cool, and I enjoy these bits. But I wouldn't source out the physical editions unless you're an absolute.
Sorry, there might be more than that. That looks like there's only one volume.
Yeah, I was thinking when you were saying that, I was like,
there's got to be way more than that. I'll see if I can find total. I thought that looked a bit low.
When you kept saying, I was like, I think that was, But
trying to get a straight answer on the fucking internet nowadays is quite a thing, isn't it?
Nice.
Anyway, it's a lot of books.
So, from feudal Japan to post-apocalyptic giants eating people, Tony, what have you got?
So mine is a couple of reasons I did mine. The book is it's called Volume 4 of the Legion of Superheroes, but it's generally called 5 Years Later. Are you aware of this, guys? Have you ever heard of it?
No.
The Legion of Superheroes, of course, but
not 5 years later.
No. I can't recall if I have or not, because when you showed us a couple of panels, and I was like, man, that seems familiar.
Right. Okay. Right. Interesting. Yeah. So it's 1,400 pages long. It's the biggest. It's almost the biggest omnibus I've got. I think I've got a couple of slightly bigger than this, but it sits on my shelf and probably ruins the flooring in my house. That shelf. I picked it for two reasons. Three reasons. One, it's got something of a bad name. It's a redo of the Legion. Two, the Legion are absolutely missing in action at the moment. We haven't had a good Legion book for decades at this point.
God, no one talks about them at all.
Nothing at all. But when I was, you know, in my teens and early 20s, it was them, the Teen Titans, and the X-Men. They were the three.
When I was a kid, some of those costumes that they had was very memorable. Very memorable.
Definitely. They were great from a point of view of a comic collector as well. They're OCD catnip to us, aren't they? Because we want to know who, you know, want to know who Matarita Lad is. We want to know, you know, all these.
There was like a billion of them, wasn't there?
Loads of them. Yeah, loads of them. And I was chatting to Pete Watson, I think, when he was on, and they have a language called Interlac as well, which in the previous volume would appear on boards, like this weird language on scanner boards behind them, and you could actually translate it and work out what the messages were. It's a great series. It's actually got a big group of fans who are kind of have their own fan clubs around the Legion. There's one called Interlac, which is one I'll talk about in a minute. And the other one is Keith Giffen, who we sadly lost. Was it last year or the year before? Massive Keith Giffen fan. I've got quite a lot of OA from him. Got to meet him. Lovely, absolutely lovely bloke. So this came 2 years after Keith Giffen had helped out in recreating the Legion. You know, the Bwahaha Legion, not Legion. Yes. Sorry, Justice League. He'd taken that sort of humour thing. He'd done that. Previous to that, he'd been on the OG Legion. Volume 3 and Volume 2 as well, when it was Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes into the Legion of Superheroes. It's a complicated history of the Legion. They jump about from Adventure Comics to Superboy all over the place. But he got sick of it because, like with the Legion, like with the Avengers, like with Justice League, you have to draw like 400 characters. Yeah. He says, "Oh fuck it." I think they got him to do a poster with all the characters on. He said, "Nah, fuck it, I'm not doing that anymore." So he went away. He basically brought the Justice League back. They fucking killed it with those series. I mean, you couldn't fucking sell Justice League for a pile of fish. Do you know what I mean? Back before the Bwahaha thing, and then it became massive. You know, it's and still it's very popular now. You see podcasts talking about it. I know that Comic Smell do a sort of series on it. And so he said, right, I'll come back to the Legion. But what they did is he did it with a couple called Tom and Mary Beerbaum, who did the dialogue. He did most of the art and all the plotting and a lot of the dialogue. But Tom and Mary Beerbaum were part of Interlac. They were comics writers in a minor way in their own way, but they were part of the Legion of Superheroes fan club. So they knew. I mean, to be fair, you've got to have a degree in Legion to read this book, because you can't fucking work out who anyone is half the time. You've got to know who anyone is. Yeah. And it got this. He brought it back. And previous to this, the Legion had been this sort of frothy, friendly, to a certain extent, certainly in its history, superhero kids club. You know, their HQ was a fucking upside down rocket. You know, and they had flight belts and they had flight rings and they all had these silly names and you had all these fucking stupid powers and, you know, this sort of thing. And it was quite cutesy, quite very Silver Age. And then they went a bit more adult, so they sort of started branching off with him. But when he came back, they basically took a jump forward 5 years into the future, and he has disbanded the Legion. It's almost illegal to be a Legionnaire. And basically it's like, right, we need to get back together. The Dominators are about looking to take over Earth. You've got this fucking awful hitman whose name is Kevin Roxas, who's going around killing children. I sent you the page earlier of him just beating the shit out of a woman. It reminds me of that scene from
brutal.
Savage. Yeah,
it reminds me of that scene from the end of the Hollywood movie that Quentin Tarantino did. You know, where he beats the woman up. You know, and the Manson family break into the house. Yeah. It's that bad. It's that rough. But he does it. So he's come back and done it, and he's done it in 9-panel grids. So it's almost entirely, apart from some flashback stuff and some tricks and toys he uses in the artwork, it's in 9-panel grids. And I think part of the reason people basically reading the Legion going, oh great, the Legion's back, Giffen's back on it. Oh my God, what is this? It's incredibly dense, very dark, not like what's gone before. And it does fucking jump around a lot. Okay. So you've got various disparate ex-Legion and some new characters sort of dotted all over the universe, doing basic things, trying to get together, trying to defeat this person. Rock, who's a Legion from the Steve Lytle run, he gets killed in issue 3. So there's that going on. You think someone else has died. Comedian Lad gets shot in the head at one point. It's like super, but Giffen, being the sort of creator never to not jump on something that's trendy at the time, he's become fascinated by Watchmen's 9-panel grid, and he's also become fascinated with the darkness that we were getting in comics. So I think this started in 89, so it's not too far after Dark Knight.
No.
And Green Arrow.
Enough to be sort of not inspired, but
jumping on that train.
Yeah,
definitely. So he does that, and it does. It just. But the thing is with Giffen, because he's such a fucking funny geezer. You got to remember this is the guy who did Ambush Buck.
Yeah.
It starts off dark, and then in one issue you get the trial of Polar Boy, fucking Polar Boy, who's a member of the Legion of Substitute Superheroes. Who's this sort of very niche side character, but they put him on trial because he's sort of an anarchist protester suddenly in this 5 years future thing, and he's defended by Matarita Lad, who's also this other jokey character.
Yeah,
and then you go back to people being murdered and assassins, and this assassin kills a child takes this child says something, he says, "Come behind here with me now," and you get this thing that he's probably either done something to the kid or just killed this kid. It's like it's really fucking dark. And as soon as it came out, there's a really good oral history of it, which is on the website Sktchd, which is up for an Eisner this year, actually, funny enough. And they've snatched interviews and commentary by all of the creators and put it together. And he talks about how the progression of it, how it started and how it progresses, sort of thing. And they've decided to make it more modern. But as soon as it came out, as soon as issue 1 came out, bear in mind this is letter writing campaigns. There was no internet back then. The fans went, "We don't like this." Immediately, the fans just went, "No, I'm not into this." But at the time I read it, I was chatting to Pete Dory about it recently. He said he didn't really like it, and at the time I didn't really take to it. The Steve Lytle Volume 3 is this massive soap opera of superheroes. He's having an affair with her. He's off on another planet fighting this bloke. This assassin lands in the city. It's just really good fun, very mirroring what was going on in the X-Men, maybe that sort of thing going on. Yeah. And this one is
probably the closest that DC had to sort of like the X.
I think so, yeah, because you got all these people with different powers coming together.
Such a big
from
cast
different places.
as well, but at that time the X-Men cast was just ballooning, wasn't it? It was just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, definitely. And you had the sort of Great Darkness saga, which was Dark Side coming down, which is similar to the Thanos thing that was going on at Marvel, and this sort of thing. So, but Giffen, and it's also, if anyone has followed Giffen's career, he's had these sort of ages of Giffen. So he's had the sort of Defenders stuff where he's sort of very much mimicking Kirby in a way, maybe Barry Smith, something like that. And then he's had very clean. He's obviously restrained himself because he knows that, Perez is doing well on the Teen Titans, Byrne's doing well on the X-Men. I'm going to hold it back. And you've got this very clean series running up to issue 300 of Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, which is where they fight Darkseid, which is considered the ultimate Legion story. And after that, he does stuff like Video Jack and all this stuff, which is just fucking out there. It's just like just crazy visuals, which I really like. I really like that experimentation he takes. And this is somewhere between the clean and that, really. It's like I say, you massively need a PhD in Legion history to work out who's fucking talking in each panel.
Right,
okay. Yeah. I mean, looking at the cover, it is. Yeah, you're trying to work out who everyone is, and then you go like, "This is it's a challenge," should we say?
Massively, yeah. But it's a dense read that challenges you and makes you pay attention, and it reads much better as a collection for that reason.
Okay, yeah,
because you're carried through on it. There's, like I say, there's massive allusions to rape in it. There's allusions to all sorts of things going on in it. But they're right at the end of each issue. There's almost like Giffen is created before it started at the iPad, because at the end they have these text pieces. That's an iPad, and like a news item or a study on this kind of alien, or this sort of thing going on as well. They have like a xenobiology update that appears almost like a news item on an iPad.
So how did it go down at the time?
Not well. No,
okay.
Not well at all. And but back then people were fucking earning money for drawing all kinds of fucking shit, weren't they, back then? So I suspect it probably did sell okay, because we had, towards the end of this, we were getting the Image Revolution and stuff, and all kinds of shit was coming out. But Legion fans will buy. I bought it because I bought every Legion comic, same as I do now, but I wasn't enjoying it that much, to be fair. It's not until I invested in it. Yesterday when I was waiting for you to give me a bell to have lunch, I sat there and I read 6 issues, and that's when it really got me yesterday, is reading 6 issues in a row. He plays about with visuals, he plays about with the art in really interesting ways. So he might have a page that's just words, panels on a blank page.
Yeah.
Interestingly. And there's one character who you think dies, and it slowly fades out to a white panel, and then the following page just says to be continued next issue. So it's a bit of a cop out. It's a bit of a fucking snowbird fights in the snow kind of page. But
I think that's fascinating what you said about the 6 issues, Tony. When you read 6 issues, because we talk about like
writing for the trade,
writing for the trade, or longevity, or like what keeps you going in comics, or were they the first 6, or was this a middle 6? Was this?
It was like I think this was like 12 onwards, that sort of area.
Yeah. And that's certainly interesting, because if it was a month-on-month basis, like some titles, they just don't have the rope now to hang themselves with. They wouldn't get to that, would they? They wouldn't have that option to, wow, I've read 6 in a row and I'm into this now. Because if you're not,
because they don't going to last 6 issues. Do they? Look back to Punisher. Punisher lasted 4. It's meant to be an ongoing. It's like that. It's a strong character.
Yeah.
It's full of really good ideas as well. There's one where Mano, who's an ongoing historical Legion villain, he interrogates someone, and he's found that he's got a particular kind of acid bath that if you fall into it, you don't feel pain, but you die. It eats you, basically. It dissolves you. And all of your brain patterns settle at the bottom of this tank. And you collect brain patterns up and you...
Like oil of Olay kind of stuff.
Yeah. But it's hard sci-fi like that. You know what I mean? There's that hard sci-fi element to it. Every book is full of stuff like that. Thing is, you can tell with Giffen, he gets restless. So you got this ongoing storyline, and then he thinks, oh, we'll do this flashback issue and I'll get someone else in to draw it. And stuff like that does happen. The lovely covers, absolutely brilliantly covered. I would have a look at Volume 4, Issue 4. Which is the Monel cover, and I put it up there for me with the Dark Knight cover of Batman, all crunched up, ready to punch someone. I put it up there. Monel looks like he can fucking give you a right hander in that, doesn't he? And they just got the costumes so right in that panel for me, really good. There's things I didn't like about it. There's something called Batch SW6. Have you heard of this?
No.
Which doesn't refer to Fulham and Parsons Green, the postcode, but basically, the old classic Legionnaires, I think it's cloned or something, turn up, and they're all wearing the Silver Age costumes, and that spins off into a slightly younger reader version comic called Legionnaires, and I'm like, what the fuck is this crap? You know what I mean? It's not very good. To be fair though, I bought it still.
Of course you did.
Yeah. And because I didn't want to take this massive fucking volume in my rucksack to meet you guys yesterday at work. I ended up sort of swapping between the digital version and the issues, which I dug out of the long box to read. And if you do read it on the DC app, the coloring's wrong. I don't know what version of it they've got. Some of the colouring isn't very well done, and some of the lettering is missing words for some reason. I'm not sure if they've scanned it from a bad copy or something rather than the original. But yeah, it's very strange. But it was a lovely experience. It's got me I'm bidding on a Cosmic Boy action figure at the moment on eBay, and I'm digging out all of my, just stupid stuff like that.
When's that due to go? Is that in the show? We've had one of these before, and it's been amazing.
To be fair, it's not bidding. I've made an offer. Some bloke's going to charge like 60 quid for a Cosmic Boy. I'm not having that, so I made him an offer. So if it comes in while we're sitting here, I'll let you know. But so 5 years later, it's called Volume 4, but everyone will call it Legion 5 years later. It's a really strange moment where I think they got a little bit overexcited about the grim and gritty in the DC universe. Okay. And they do it in the Legion, and it's very strange. And it takes you a while to get your head around it. But if you're a Giffen fan, you'll fucking love it. I mean, all the aliens, there's alien robots who don't have any eyes, and they've got these weird shit hanging off their heads. And, it's classic Giffen madness. But it's lovely. Really lovely. There you go.
Wow. Awesome. Fantastic. Nice. Man, it's absolutely spread of books there.
What a strange spread. And we all chose to go for things that are fucking hundreds of pages.
Yeah.
But that's when you got a reading challenge and you want to get stuck into something, that's the best way to do so.
I finished mine about 2 hours ago.
Nice. That's why you look so haggard.
Carrying it around the house.
Yeah.
I might go for Mr. Tickle next time.
yeah. Mr. Men Comics, that's what we're going to do it. But no, we always have fun doing it. It was a success, and we're going to continue to read these books or check out more of these books, or maybe they inspire us to read something else. But as always, we recommend that you try something like this. If there's a book that you've always thought about just checking out, or that omnibus that you've never got around to starting, start it. It's worth it. You never know. You might, because like Tom, you might rediscover it in a whole new way, and I mean, I've got loads of books on the shelves that I've yet to properly read. If that makes sense.
Oh, mate,
I've been
some
trying
of
to
mine be unread by the time I die, I think.
Yeah,
I've been trying to break a habit of absent-mindedly just picking up my phone and looking at stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I kind of think we're all doing that, but I think it's very. I'd definitely do it. So what I've done is I take a book out, a trade or just an average kind of paperback, put it on the table. And
every time you go look at your phone, you just smash yourself in the crotch with the book. Is that what you do?
And just like, right, no, don't pick up the book and just try and train my fucking brain.
Yeah, me too,
man. Dopamine hits and fucking looking at reels and
internet's full of shit.
Yeah,
honestly, put an elastic band around your phone.
Okay.
Oh, I wonder where that was going.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say knob. Oh, honestly, yeah.
Go on.
So if you put one around your knob, every time you go to your phone, you just snap the band and it'll just keep...
So undo, you know.
Yeah.
And also,
the only thrill I'd get.
So in all seriousness, if you stick one around your phone, around the phone case, if you've got to take it off every time you want to go look at your phone, it's just that moment of like, do I really need to check out OnlyFans? Tony clearly hasn't updated it. Will tell me what it does.
Yeah.
A moment's pause before you start like, we're going to do this again.
Yeah. To take off. Yeah, it's a small thing.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
give it a go.
I will.
If it works for you, listeners, why don't you write in and say?
Yeah. The internet is indeed full of shit, but thank you for listening to us, wherever you found us
porn
online.
Talking of porn online, should we do some?
Let's do some shout outs. Do we have any shout outs this week, gents? What have we got?
I've just got the one. So the new comic Rain from a member of the Slack community, Stephen McCamaskey, will be dropping on Global Comics on the 1st of June. Lives will end, hearts will break, rain will fall. After a tragedy, budding trainee cop Philip Rain is thrown into the world of organised crime through a network of cities called the Four Corners.
I just fucking love that when someone's got a cool name like Philip Rain.
Isn't that cool?
And like that's the name of the book, Rain. That's real.
Plus that little
TV detective kind of, put it in my veins.
Yeah. That's the Pat Mills said, call your book. The character.
Yeah. So it's part noir, part action, part romance. It looks really great. So the cover's lovely. He's kind of redone it a bit, I think, in order to put it on Global Comics. But 1st of June it lands on there. That's
interesting thought though. To like, if you got a cover and you're about to put it on a new kind of thing, maybe take another look. Give it,
It's amazing how many indie books on Global Comics don't have covers.
Yeah,
loads of them. I don't know why they do that.
It matters. The thumbnails matter. Like, we've gone from covers matter to thumbnails matter. We've fucking banged that drum for ages. You need to have a punchy cover. It's
a cover is a thumbnail, isn't it? That's it's a sad truth, but that's kind of what it is in a lot of ways. So.
We've got a show talking about loads of shows about cover design and like the way of thinking about it nowadays. It's slightly awkward.
God, fuck! I'm gonna forget. Fuck his name. GR Fink, the one with GR Fink. So with Gareth.
Oh, Gareth Hopkins, yeah.
Gareth, thank you. I was getting blank on his last name. Brilliant cover episode. Can't remember what it was.
Yes. You're right. Yeah.
Giant, absolutely fantastic cover episode. If you go back and listen to that, it's a really well.
We had a good one with Dave Kennedy as well.
Yes.
Talked about covers. Yeah, more about him soon.
Yeah. Any other? Is that all for your shout-outs, Danny?
That's all I got, babes. Yeah.
Dan, have you got anything?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Steamroller Man 1, an absurdly funny superhero adventure. We gave this obviously a massive shout out last week with Matthew Schofield doing this one. It looks fantastic. It's absolutely smashed its target. It's a really good comic. Go check that one out. We've got the collected letters of Courier Z or Z, depending on where you are in the world. Collection of comic stories about one. I just fucking clicked on that. A collection of comic stories about one space post woman and a crime-ridden universe illustrated by a mailbag of great artists. We've got Blam and Glam, the collection issue, volume 1. It collects issues 1 to 8 of the series, in which a woman with amnesia battles demonic mecha monsters.
That's great, man.
16 days to go, absolutely slaughtering this.
Lovely art in it. Yeah.
By from Richard Morgan. Richard's been on the show before. We've talked about it. It's a lovely book. Looks amazing. We've got a little dedication in the back because we've helped it along.
Lovely.
Yeah.
No, that's nice.
Yeah, he asked us what we'd like, and I said, go and have a look at that. We've got Schism, a 100-page graphic novel. The Earth is dying, your world is a lie, payback is a bitch. A hero fights a bloody path to freedom in an apocalyptic Spanish winter, by Mark Abnett. And again, that smashed its target. That looks really good. Got another 68 hours to go, so maybe a couple of days by the time you listen to this. Do go and check that one out, Schism.
Nice.
That looks great.
We've got to do No Brainer, 1 to 6.
Oh, shit, of course, yes.
A solo comics anthology by our buddy Edison Neo. Also a man with the coolest name in the history of the world, I think, to be fair.
Yeah,
that's a great name.
This is the 6th issue of the solo anthology by Edison, 44 pages, including Theme Guard, Chapter 6. This is the hotness. It's smashed. I think, 6 hours he smashed his number on this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the only ongoing Kickstarter I'll do.
Okay.
Just every time. It's almost like you wait for the new issue of something and you go into the comic book shop and you pick up. For me, No Brainer is like, the new issue, No Brainer. Click. Pledge.
Yeah, me too, straight away. And you always get something extra from him, don't you?
But because of the joy of things like this, if you want to get the previous issues, jump on it now and you can catch up. Because
it's a joy, man. Yeah,
and because he's not in America, he's in. I think I'm going to say Singapore. Edison.
Yes,
postage isn't as bad. So for us in the UK, it's actually a bit better.
The exchange rate's fantastic. Like you look at it and think, man, that's nothing. That's great. We get a great comic for not much.
Yeah.
The other one I'd like to give, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, old-time radio hero, returns by Slack member Alan Lisker. 36-page action-packed comic. Johnny Dollar has to stop a cyber criminal's reign of terror when law enforcement can't. And I think that kind of refers a little bit to Alan's day job. He works in cybersecurity as well. So that should be quite an interesting read, I reckon. Yeah, nice. And he's a nice dude. And he's on the Slack with us, so go and get that.
I've done some work for those guys. We've got a comic coming out. More details on that to follow.
Oh, nice. We've seen some of that. It looks amazing. Yeah.
Some of the artwork of the other people in it looks great. So amazing. I can't wait to see
Not as good as yours, you were saying. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to say that, but yeah. We've got that episode you was referencing, Tom, episode 270. We've got this covered with Gareth Hopkins, where we do a massive cover talk. We did do another one with Dave Kennedy as well. So if you go on to Podbean and search Awesome Comics Podcast, Dave Kennedy, he's been on it a couple of times. I'll show that one will pop up.
Nice.
Other podcasts are available.
Yeah. But don't listen to them. I've got just a quick shout out. Something I spotted at Lawless, and I think Tony, you've mentioned these sort of events before. It's the 14th Commando and British Weekly Comic Swap Meet, which is taking place on Saturday, the 13th of July, 2024. Open at 10 till 3 at the Wolstanton Methodist Church Hall in Stoke-on-Trent. This is a chance to buy, sell, swap good old-fashioned British comics in a friendly, relaxed atmosphere with a brew, a bacon butty, and maybe even cake. Sign me
that's
up.
Great.
That sounds amazing. There's thousands of bargain-priced British comics in one room with a chance to see the original art cover collection and a chance to meet talented Commando writers and artists. So if you're in the area, or it's not too far a drive, definitely check it out. I think
they jump about the country. There was one near Watford a couple of years ago as well. Yeah, they do different venues, I think. Nice. Yeah.
Would you like to, any of you guys, would you like to write a Commando comic?
I don't know if I know enough about Army and War.
Yeah.
There was someone that say like, we'll help you out with the technical details.
I think it's in all honesty, there is a certain method to it. There's a certain rhythm and there's a certain method, which I think it takes a specific kind of writer to do it.
Well, we did
certainly the classic
format.
Ones.
I've done that format twice. So we did it in George Mayhem. We did the up and down panel at top, panel at bottom, and we did it in the brilliantly named Atomic Hercules Ghost Commando. We did the same, and it's a really if you're just the writer, because it's easy being a writer, isn't it? It's actually quite a fun format style to write in.
You do yourself a disservice, and all other writers, Tony.
It's a piss being a writer. I just write on the bus.
One last shout out, Dave Broughton, who gave us all the comic.
Yes.
Scholar
and
a gent.
Always lovely catching up with Dave and his artwork. If you ever see Dave at a show, go to his portfolio, man.
He played a blinder because he was late to the con because I think he was drinking or something. But then he got the table
just besmirching his name immediately out of the gate.
Probably his bus was late. No, you were pissed, Dave.
He got a table right by the front entrance. You had to walk past Dave to get anywhere. So what a spot.
I heard he was working in a soup kitchen. I heard he was helping those unfortunate in ourselves. Yeah. Well, pissed.
He was operating for free on people with serious injuries.
He was late because he saved like a bus full of orphans, and there was a pram full of puppies that he stopped getting in an accident.
He did it drunk. He was drunk.
He was drunk while it was happening. All of this.
He's very drunk.
Yeah. Love you, Dave. Love you, Dave.
That expression, drinking heavily, is always hilarious to me. It's just.
I like drunk as a handcart. I like that one. Drunk as a handcart. I like that
one. Anyway, let's recommend some comics. Tom.
Hello.
Take it. What do you want?
So we had a lovely. They've already been mentioned once already. We had a lovely chat with these guys at Lawless. This is Petrol Volume 1 from Image that we picked. I don't know. I'm holding up to the camera so everyone can see.
I know. I just like seeing it again.
This is by Rob Williams and Parr. If I've said that wrong, my apologies. Brilliant. Really great. A joy to read.
Lovely seeing this collection. It was one of my favourites. Yeah.
It was really, really nice to go. I obviously remember you guys recommending it. Didn't pick it up at the time, but then like seeing it there and like seeing after like the really lovely chat we had with them and like seeing how much this is going for, which is like it's a good price for a. We can say how much it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. We picked it up for 15.
15 quid. Yeah. Really great. Lovely. Really lovely book. Art is fantastic. It's bright. It's colourful. It feels, having just come out of the latest Mad Max film, which is a lot of browns and, should we say, lots
oranges,
of
browns.
Yeah. Just seeing something a bit more like colourful and like exploding off the page. And there's so many little bits in here in terms of like, the elder eye, the elder mouth, the elder hit, There's just so much stuff where it's just beautiful.
Different colour palettes for different parts of the city.
Yeah. Exactly.
No panel space is wasted either.
Yeah. Just beautiful sequential art. Really lovely sequential art. I haven't spotted any kind of like repeat panels in terms of like we're just going to do the same shot again but put stuff over there. The art shop's fantastic. The vehicles.
And Rob Williams writing. I haven't read too much of his stuff, but there's a heart to this story that's mostly about robots, isn't it?
It's great. It's really good. And that line of like humanity and robot, it's just really well done.
Yeah.
Really well done. Really enjoying it so far. Haven't got called through yet, but I'm just
I think it's also a good reread as well. It's like a second reading. It's like, oh yeah, this is still, it flows well.
Is he digital? Is he, or did he have pages with him? Do you know?
I think he does a lot of stuff digitally. But
it looks digital, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's done a lot of stuff in the past. Like the lead. I think with this one he's done digital, but he did stuff like Realm of the Damned and stuff like
painted almost.
Does a lot of pencils and stuff. Yeah, detailed pencils. If you go to Parr's website, you can see like some original pages. He's done like gig posters and stuff for like Primus and fucking amazing stuff like that.
There's also a Fallout piece he did recently as well, which is fantastic. Vince just pointing to a corner's room,
which is available now on his website. And I he only had like 5 copies available from the printer at the time, and I managed to blag one of them. Of course, Fallout's quite popular now for some reason.
Yes,
get it on eBay, son.
Yeah. So,
interestingly, as a little interjection, Primus is my confirmation name.
Primus.
Do you know why?
Why?
Go on.
Because he was the leader of the Amiga men.
Okay.
Yeah.
You nerd.
I know. Back to comics.
I got called a nerd yesterday, didn't I?
Yeah.
Did he?
Being at a Comic Con talking about 2018. It's a place to be nerdy.
Yeah.
I think it's allowed there.
Come on, let's not be nerdy. Let's talk about some more comics.
Yeah.
So
Shall I go next because I got 2?
Oh yeah.
So my first one is Griz Grobus, 200 pages, full colour. Drawing and scripting by Simon Roy. Story by Simon Roy and Jess Pollard. Colours by Sergei Nazaroff. Published by Simon Roy. And sent to us by Kat Zalazar, who's, I think, VP of PR and Marketing and Image. But I don't think this is marked up as an image book. I'm not really sure.
Oh.
Well, it's very kind of her, and she's very communicative, and we had a quick chat about it. It goes on sale on the 18th of June, so this is a little preview we got of it. Originally, it was a webtoon, but it's been slightly redrawn and reformatted into a graphic novel-style production. It's set in the same universe as another book of Roy's called Habitat. Have you heard of that, guys?
No.
I hadn't heard of it either. This is based in the outskirts of that world. So while apparently Habitat is more sort of cannibalistic, apocalyptic kind of horror story, this is more like out in the hills where the snow is, more sort of survivalist. A group of people are surviving in huts and stuff in the hills, and they've managed to make their own society. in this small encampment. It starts off with them finding a power source. There's a young girl in it who's a thief, and she's sort of found this power source, and she takes it to this town and shows it to them, and they go, "That's the power source for that robot." And they got this sort of massive robot in there. So they open a hatch and they put this sort of glowing key thing into it, and the robot turns out to be Father Stanley. And he's a strange character. He comes back to life after hundreds of years, and they're not sure what to make of him. And he's a strange character, and you're left in that sort of situation where is he evil or not? Was he turned off for a reason, and his power source was thrown away into the hills? You don't really know. And the female thief begins to investigate. She digs out all these sort of town records, and it's a really weird one because it turns out this robot is obsessed with this thing called the Grobus root. Which is this thing, if you boil it, you can cook it and boil it and it's not poisonous, and he keeps trying to make the townspeople eat it, and they're like, no, fuck off, we don't want to eat this shit. And he ends up going on a journey with this girl. Okay, so it is beautifully drawn, I have to say. This is really lovely drawn. And then it's one of those books. I read Kat's email, and she said there's two stories. You've got this story of the townsfolk and this robot, and then you've got like a fantasy story that interjects between it. So it's almost in different chapters. And there's like a yet another story, which is actually a novel from that world talking about stuff. It's a really interesting sort of style of doing it. And this has got much more of a sort of older school, not quite Dungeons and Dragons, but more of a sort of fantasy-scape kind of story that happens on this world. So it's almost like the myth from this world. Does that make sense? Yeah. Which I'm glad I read about in the PR, because it made much more sense reading it. Because you might go, hang on a minute, what's this now? What's this about? And I think one of the reasons for that is Webtoons works differently, doesn't it? When you're reading it and it's coming out in chapters, you're reading, and then you'll think, oh, what's this bit now? And there'll probably be a forum talking about what's happened. Well, when you get it in a graphic novel, as long as it explains, it's fine. And it flip-flops between the two different stories. Visually, the novel section, the fantasy section, is visually much more interesting to me. It's got much more a sort of fantasy edge to it, and it's about this. There's a mistake by a magician who's trying to bring the god of war back to life, and he ends up putting the god of war into a goose. And this pacifist grabs the goose and is sort of escaping with this goose, and people keep trying to cook the goose and eat it. And he's a pacifist, so he won't fight them. And it's a really interesting story. It's got that cartoony, I'm going to say, young reader style about it, but there's a glint in the eye about it. There's a little humour about it, so it can be enjoyed. It's not super violent. There's a bit of blood in it, actually, so it's not for really young readers, but it's fun. It's a fun thing to read. As I say, gorgeous artwork, really, really lovely done, really great settings, some really interesting characters. There's a little bit of a romance story going on in it. There's a man who has to sort of stand up and fight for his town. And the robot, it's a weird one, because the robot I actually find really visually very interesting. And then something happens to the robot about 2/3 of the book, and he doesn't really appear in the last bit. And again, I think that's from the way that Webtoons works.
Right.
Things jumps about, it comes out in chapters, and sometimes it'll take years for a Webtoon to come out, and you'll sort of travel through the story. So it doesn't always begin and end in the way that, if it begins this way, you think it's going to end this way. It doesn't work like that, because it's a different distribution model. But I really had fun with it. It's a lovely little book. I can see it doing well. Have a look for it. It's called Griz Grobus, and as I say, it's due out on the 18th of June, so in about a month, just under a month.
Nice one. Oh, that sounds great.
Cool. Nice. It's my first one.
Nice. Dan, you don't have one this week?
I'm going to do a quick shout, because I got sent. Well, I've been sent this a little while ago.
Yeah.
But Truck Mutts, by Ian Matthews. Sorry.
Ian Matthews.
Yeah. We've been having our kitchen done, so there's been boxes all over the place, and I was sorting through and I found it, and I was lucky enough to get the free badge.
Oh, that's why you're bringing this up. You just want to show off at the badge, don't you?
That's the only reason you're talking about it.
Yeah, I got the badge. You guys didn't. That's a statement of fact.
Wait, we're not saying you're playing favourites, Ian, but I've known you for years, mate. What's that all about?
Yeah.
It's absolutely. We've talked about this before, but it's an absolutely great comic, and it made me relive that kind of the youth of getting this once a week from the newsagent, and the badge will go on my rucksack where I've got all my other comic badges.
Yeah, jump on the Slack because Ian's on the Slack, and like if you want,
we're talking about it on there.
Get in touch with it. It's great stuff. I'm going to jump in quickly with my one, which is a book that I read on Global Comics, but it came out from Image in 2020, I believe. It's a crime book called Writer in Blood, which is written by Rory McConville, art from Joe Palmer, colours Chris O'Halloran, which I think I've mentioned that name before.
Oh, yeah, he's done a few things.
Letters Hassan Otsami El How, I think, which is another letter I've seen in many books. This is a crime comic. It came out from Image. On the eve of their retirement, two hitmen, Cosmo and Arthur Price, what a great name for a character, Cosmo, drive through the Texas countryside with the infamous little Harkness in the trunk of their car. The brothers are meant to deliver Harkness to their boss, but matters become complicated when Arthur's recklessness jeopardizes Cosmo's retirement plans and puts a target on their back. It's called a tragicomic crime tale of family loyalty and broken dreams. Rory McConville is a writer on Judge Dredd, I believe, and Joe Palmer certainly. He's done work for 2000 AD. He's also there's another book, Time Before Time, which also came out from Image. He's an English artist, big fan of his stuff. You look at his sketches on Twitter and stuff; they're very sort of different from what he was doing in this. This feels. I mean, you could take this as an issue 1. I read it as a collection. Always gets me when they call it a volume 1 when it feels like a one and done story. You know when they do collections and they just put it in volume 1 and you're like, there is no volume 2 after this because of the story. It was very interesting to me because this felt very. It's a crime story that works really well in terms of it's like a Coen Brothers kind of tale in its own kind of way. And because it's got a sharp sort of black comedy humour to it, a small but unique set of characters that you get to know. There's some surprising deaths in it. Very clean artwork by Palmer. I was really surprised. It's very much. I think if we were talking probably like 20 years ago, you would say, "Oh, this is clearly influenced by Tarantino." You know, when everyone was saying this is a Tarantino-like thing because every crime is sort of, you know, and this is it has hints of that with the Coen brothers, but it is all about these two brothers. I'm using the word brothers a lot, and you're following them and what happens to them and how it's just getting worse and worse, and then there's a crime boss that goes after. I don't really want to spoil anything because I was reading it. And before I knew it, I was like, right, chapter 2. I mean, I say it's a quick read, but there's a lot to it. It just feels like the situation's getting worse and worse. It's quite funny in its own kind of way. Some surprising moments. There's a scene within the two hitmen brothers. You first meet them and they're sort of moving bodies around. Something bad's just happened. And one of them's, there's a guy outside the house, like he's been shot and he's bleeding. He's reaching for his gun, and one of the brothers who wants to give the life up is talking to him and saying, "We'll let you go. Everything will be fine. Just want you to, you know." He seems like the nice brother, and this guy's saying, "Yeah, I suppose I could do that." And he gets halfway through saying something, and then there's a panel of his brains just being blown out of his head. And I was like, "Holy fuck!" And much like the character reacts like, "What the fuck did you do that for?" And it immediately sets up the dynamic of the two brothers and how their sort of relationship works, and you are following them. And there's you got the traditional sort of crime boss who looks a certain way. I can picture how these. I think sometimes with these kind of stories, especially crime stories, I don't know whether you guys read them and you get their voice in your head, like very specifically how they sound.
The right sound.
Yeah. Not as if like, oh, that is this actor or that is this person. You're not casting it, but you hear voices in your head. And this was very much, I can hear this. I don't. Palmer's work, it has such a great comic book sort of style where it doesn't look referenced. Nothing looks referenced, but everything looks kind of spot on. It's like a card, I'm
kind of in awe in that when people sort of draw and it looks like they were drawn from photos, but they're not.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
Because it's a very sort of simpler style. Yeah,
faces. Yeah,
he's got a simpler style as well. You know how like people like Samney and stuff. You know, you can do these big landscapes, and they look like people, but there's an efficiency to the line. And I'm a big fan of seeing things that are big sky America. Do you know what I mean? Those sort of New Mexico kind of landscapes as well. It's always good to have like a crime stories are very popular in that kind of place as well, isn't it? Because it's so desolate.
You can get rid of it.
Yeah. So it's
on
a
my
story.
house.
Yeah. It's a story about bad things. Well, things going wrong for some bad guys, and there's even worse people after them. And it was a cool thrill ride. Not too heavy, even though it's called Write It in Blood. I didn't feel like, oh god, this is a grim crime story. It felt there was a nice tempo to it. So I completely missed it at the time. I don't know where it went under the radar. So discovering it was a joy.
There's so much to go under the radar. It's almost impossible to keep on top of it.
A lot of image books I've missed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this was an image. So Write It in Blood, which you can buy. You can buy the collection now. Or if you're on Global Comics, you can read it issue by issue, etc., or the collection.
If only there was a podcast which gave out weekly recommends.
Oh, there you go. We need more things like that, don't we? Because
then also had a website with links to it, created by
fans,
listed them all.
That is such a great resource.
Yeah, because
which is the ACP recommends.
Yeah,
I believe.
He spoke to Craig for a while. Actually, I must give him a message.
That's what he was doing because he will
list everything on there, including Tony. Not Tony. He's next.
I'm not listed on there. My name's on there. It's nice,
you are. You can click on Tony and you go to Never Write Anything.
Yeah.
Anything that's got my name on it, I print out. Right, Knoller, issue 1. This is the book that you guys have been waiting for me to talk about after I showed you it yesterday. Very excitedly.
Racy.
Yeah, it's by Hypnotator Comics, A4, magazine size issue, colour interiors by a guy called Benji. I think he's UK based. It's hard to tell. I saw this in the comic shop of the weekend. I thought Excelsior in Bristol, actually. Impulse bought it. It's in a bag. Lots of comics are in bags, though, aren't they? You don't immediately think it's going to be fucking utter filth. So I bought it. The cover looks like it's, saying that, to be fair, maybe I should have read the cover a bit better. Because it's got, are you aware of the original Micronauts characters? So they were action figures.
Yes.
So they didn't really look much like the comic characters in a way. They were kind of redrawn. But it's got two of them on the cover fighting each other. It says Cyborg versus Muton. And it also says in a little star, Anal Frankenstein. That should have been the clue that I had there.
Yeah, there was a little clue there.
Yeah. The first story is Satan Taught Me to Yodel. Story of Lyle Big Earl Widdicombe. He wasn't in a good place, Earl. He sat in a sort of dirty back alley with a raccoon tail hat and in a puddle of piss. Drugs and booze had fucked my mind and life could get no worse, he says to himself. But Satan appears with his fiddle and teaches Big Earl to yodel, because that's what the Satan does, apparently. It doesn't go well for Big Earl, though, as everything that he describes everything in rhyming couplets. I yodeled as I shot a man and blew his brains all over. I yodeled when I'm coveting my neighbour's dog called Rover. And then he has sex with a dog from behind. So that's where that's...
naturally.
Yeah, that made me laugh. The main story from it is features on the cover.
Dan's choking to death.
That's tickled Dan. It's called Cyborg versus Muton. And there's this famous story, isn't there? So Marvel writer Bill Mantlo apparently went home. He was busy writing ROM and all these sort of things. And he goes home and he sees his kid playing with these, like we talked about, these Micronauts character action figures. And he says, son, what are they? He said, these are Micronauts, Daddy. This is such and such. This is Space Glider. This is Biotron. He says, right, I'm going to write a story about that. So he preps a story outline, sends it to Marvel, and they get the rights, and it becomes the comic. So I kind of think, in a way, if you crossed that lovely, beautiful story of a man talking to his kid about his comics, but swapped it with something that Johnny Ryan might do, this is where you get this story.
Okay.
And it's kind of Micronauts crossed with Prison Pit a little bit, I'm going to say. Which is a massive compliment for me. I love Prison Pit. And this is what you get. So it's just 11 pages of them, the two characters fucking each other up in violent different ways and then coming back to life and attacking the other one again. And it just goes on and on and on. And at the end, it's got this massive twist, which I showed you earlier, didn't I? Where it turns out that the it's just a kid playing with 2 action figures.
Yeah,
and the
great little twist.
The kids in the street playing these action figures. He gets bullied by these other kids, and he runs home and he says, "Daddy, Mummy, I've been bullied." And he goes in the front room, and his dad's tried to kill himself, and he's got all blood over his wrists. I think, who thinks of that shit? That is dark.
That is
stuff.
dark as fuck. Yeah,
admirably dark, brilliantly dark. Anyway, just genius storytelling. And then the last story, which I'm not going to elaborate on, but is a 2-pager called Anal Frankenstein. It is definitively not for the faint of heart. Don't read it on a bus with anyone sitting behind you. It's all right if you sit at the back of the bus because no one see. That's fine. I did some digging. There's a Hypnotator on DeviantArt. Gosh have had copies of this. I see on the Gosh site it turns up, but I haven't got any at the moment because I haven't seen it in there recently. And Excelsior I had the last copy of it. There is an Instagram for an unused account for a Ben Farman, who I think might be this person. It's unclear from the comic who made it, but there is an email, hypnotator@gmail.com. That's the only thing I could suggest if you want to get a copy of this. If you go hypno and then TATOR, hypnotator@gmail.com. There you go.
Nice one.
Review for that one.
What a wide range of comics we've talked about this week, from feudal Japan to anal Frankensteins.
Yeah.
That's what this show gives you on a weekly basis, and we hope you enjoyed this week's episode and everything that we talked about. If there's anything you want us to talk about on upcoming shows, process stuff, we've got an exciting lineup of future guests lined up, but of course we always want to talk about process and different events and different topics and stuff. So if there's anything you want us to talk about, please do get in touch. There's several different ways you can do it. You can email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Follow us on social media, on Instagram @awesomecomicspod, on X and Twitter @theawesomepod. And thank you for listening to us, whether it's on the website awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, leave a review, say something nice about the show. It helps get the word out about all the comics we talk about on a weekly basis, and you never know who might be listening. That makes me sound like I'm paranoid, but you know what I mean. And we're also on Spotify, so leave a rating and review there. Because we're very fragile and we need love and hugs. And if you listen to us on any other networks like Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife, what other networks are we on, Tony?
Well, as you know, mentioned earlier, I'm now, for the point of popularity on the run up to the election, I've decided I'm now going to be a massive racist.
Okay.
So I've been listening to a couple of podcasts. One is called #StopTheBoats, and the other one is called #I just don't really like them.
So
you're going to sweep the board with those votes, T.
Yeah,
large portion of this country love all that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's why I'm doing it, just so I can be popular. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't gone for something for like national service.
And
well, that's a good. Let me write that one down.
Yeah. Okay. Just to let everyone know, we do not legally endorse.
I saw a comment today about national service, and it went, "My 15, 16-year-old cousin, I wouldn't let that C touch anything." Like, if he was going to go national service,
giving some of these twats guns.
Yeah. I wouldn't give him a bloody Nerf gun, let alone a bloody rifle.
Anyway,
stop playing Candy Crush. Here's a fucking machine gun.
Speaking of guns, where can people find us online, etc.? Daniel,
we're talking about guns.
See what I did there?
Yeah. Find me on X @Vanguard Comic, and you can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com.
Tony.
Neveronanything.com. Watch out for a Rupert the Bear episode coming soon.
Yeah.
I think I missed on Wednesday. Did he do a tops and bottoms, T?
Yeah. Oh, that's all right.
I'll track back.
Thank you.
I missed that.
Cheers.
Always on the lookout for bottoms.
Yep.
You can find me on social media @JesterDiablo. The wonderful Tom Curry. Thank you for joining us once again.
Yes.
Thanks, Tom.
Do you want people to find you?
Yeah, you can find me on No Context Track. It's just quite a good Twitter account. You should follow it. It's quite nice.
Oh, okay. No Context Track.
No Context Track is in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's just pretty good. It's pretty good.
Do you know what? I love the idea of Tom just recommending a different social media account every time he comes on.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I just want to try something different,
Yeah.
Just try that one. Give it a go.
Yeah.
I've decided I'm only going to generally follow X accounts that are like massively right wing now, though. So.
Well, then we have got a problem there.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Well, I do like the fact On social media now, virtually every day I can see someone getting killed on social media.
Yeah, I like that. I like that there's no filter now. You can just watch people getting run over and stuff. It's great. Yeah. So that's what the far right fights for.
Yeah.
So
me and Dan will be back next week to talk about comics.
If you need me to sub in, my rates are
yeah. We'll email you, Tom. We've got
free speech.
We've got to do some. we've got to do some restructuring. Some urgent emails need to be sent. And but thank you for listening, everyone. And by the way, this is all satire and we're just joking. Please don't take anything. If you've got listened this far,
that's not the case.
Yeah, if you've got this far in the show, you know everything that we say is just absolute bollocks. But join us next week for another fantastic show, talking about some comics that you're going to want to discover and put on your reading lists. And who knows, you might even learn something. We do every week when we talk to someone.
Yeah.
We talk to each other. We just learned that we shouldn't be doing this.
It degenerated quickly yesterday.
It did.
Yeah. But
I'm about to take up the opposite position to Tony, so we kind of got.
We can have that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
You can become massively left wing. We can argue about.
And I'm just a central midfielder. Hey, footballer, kickball reference there for all you sporties. And join us next week. Until then, we're going to go back to reading all these omnibuses and all these comics.
Yes.
So wherever you are in the world, we hope you're enjoying what you're reading, making, doing. Please let us know about it. And until you hear our lovely voices again, from Dan, Tony, Tom, and myself, what should they do, guys?
Stay awesome.
What was that, Tom?
Awesome.
Did you say arse?
Do you plan
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Stay awesome.